Did you know that on average, a person swallows about 8 spiders in their sleep each year? This isn't just an urban legend. It's a widely circulated claim that, while likely exaggerated in exact numbers, taps into a primal fear. The idea stems from the fact that spiders, like many nocturnal creatures, might occasionally wander across our sleeping bodies. Given their small size and our deep slumber, it's plausible, though rare, for one to accidentally enter our open mouths. The thought of an 8-legged arachnid crawling across your face and then, gulp, disappearing down your throat while you're completely unconscious is deeply unsettling. It's a vivid reminder of how little control we have over our surroundings, even in the presumed safety of our own beds, and how unknowingly vulnerable we are to the tiny, unseen inhabitants of our homes. This fact often leads to a quick check under the covers or a newfound appreciation for a tightly sealed mouth at night. Did you know there's a medical condition called Cotard's syndrome, where individuals genuinely believe they are dead, decaying, or non-existent? Imagine waking up every day convinced that your body is merely a husk, your organs have stopped functioning, or that you've already passed away and are just walking around as a corpse. This incredibly rare and disturbing neurological disorder can lead to sufferers neglecting basic needs like eating or drinking, as they see no purpose in sustaining a body they believe is already gone. They might claim to smell their own decaying flesh or feel worms crawling within them, despite all evidence to the contrary. The profound disconnect from reality and the terrifying internal world of a person with Cotard's syndrome underscore the fragility of our perception and how easily the mind can construct its own horrifying truths, trapping individuals in a living nightmare. Did you know some people suffer from parasomnia, a group of sleep disorders where they perform complex actions like driving, cooking, or even committing crimes while asleep, with no memory of it upon waking? This isn't just about sleepwalking to the kitchen for a snack. It can involve intricate, seemingly intentional behaviors. Individuals might drive miles away, prepare a full meal, or in extreme, tragic cases, engage in violent acts, all while remaining in a deep, unconscious state. The terrifying aspect is the complete lack of control or awareness. Imagine waking up to find you've done something incredibly dangerous or damaging, with absolutely no recollection of the event. It blurs the line between sleep and wakefulness, suggesting a hidden, autonomous part of our minds capable of acting independently, making us unwitting participants in our own unsettling narratives. Did you know there have been rare but documented cases of deceased individuals appearing to sit up after being buried due to post-mortem muscle contractions? While extremely rare, historical accounts and even some modern medical observations describe unsettling phenomena in corpses. As the body decomposes, gases build up, and muscles can sometimes contract due to residual electrical impulses, leading to spontaneous movements. This could include a limb twitching, a mouth opening, or, most disturbingly, the trunk of the body shifting, giving the horrifying impression that the deceased is rising. In times before modern embalming and clear signs of death, such events fueled fears of premature burial. The sheer thought of a loved one, presumed at rest, suddenly moving in their coffin is a chilling reminder of the unpredictable and often macabre nature of death. Did you know the human brain can continue to exhibit activity for several minutes after clinical death, sometimes creating vivid dreams or near-death experiences? While the heart may stop and breathing ceases, the brain doesn't immediately shut down. For a brief window, often mere minutes, neural activity can persist, leading to a surge of electrical energy. This burst of activity is theorized to be responsible for the profound and often spiritual near-death experiences reported by individuals who were revived after cardiac arrest. People describe seeing bright lights, reliving memories, or feeling a sense of peace or separation from their bodies. The unsettling part is the implication that consciousness, or at least some form of perception, might linger even as the body begins its final descent, raising profound questions about the nature of life, death, and what truly happens in those final, fleeting moments. Did you know some species of fungi can control the minds of insects, turning them into zombies before the fungus erupts from their bodies? This isn't science fiction, it's a terrifying reality in the insect world. A famous example is the cordyceps fungus, which infects ants. Once infected, the fungus manipulates the ant's behavior, compelling it to climb to a high point, like a branch or a blade of grass. There, the ant clamps its jaws onto the vegetation in a death grip and dies. The fungus then consumes the ant from within, and a fruiting body sprouts from the ant's head, releasing spores to infect more unsuspecting victims. It's a grotesque display of biological puppetry, highlighting nature's capacity for truly horrific forms of parasitic control, turning living creatures into mere vessels for its own propagation. Did you know there are historical accounts of deceased individuals appearing to blink or gape their mouths during their own funerals due to gas escaping their bodies? Before modern embalming techniques became widespread, the sights at a wake or funeral could be far more disturbing. As a body decomposes, gases accumulate within the abdominal cavity. These gases can, under certain circumstances, be expelled, creating unsettling movements. A slight expulsion through the mouth could make it appear as if the deceased is gasping or yawning. Similarly, if gas builds up and then is released, it might cause the eyelids to twitch or even part slightly. Such occurrences, though natural biological processes, were undoubtedly terrifying for grieving families, feeding into ancient fears of restless spirits or premature burial. It's a stark, gruesome reminder of the physical realities of death. Did you know that every second, thousands of your dead skin cells flake off and become a part of the dust in your home? It's a silent, continuous process happening all around us and within us. Our skin constantly renews itself, shedding old cells to make way for new ones. These microscopic flakes combine with other particles, pet dander, textile fibers, soil, pollen, to form the ubiquitous dust that settles on every surface. The unsettling part is the sheer volume. A significant portion of the dust you clean from your shelves and furniture is, in fact, composed of your own former body. It's a subtle yet constant reminder of our own biological impermanence and the unseen microscopic world that coexists with us, silently transforming our living spaces into a repository of our past selves. Did you know some carnivorous plants are large enough to trap and digest rodents, frogs, and even small birds? While most people envision small, fly-eating Venus flytraps, certain species of pitcher plants, native to tropical regions, are far more formidable. Their pitcher-shaped leaves act as natural traps, filled with digestive fluids. Some of the largest species, like Nepenthes atimbarifii or Nepenthes raja, have pitchers big enough to contain and slowly dissolve small vertebrates. The idea of a seemingly benign plant turning into a silent, living death trap for creatures as complex as a mouse or a bird is deeply unsettling. It challenges our conventional understanding of the food chain and reveals a darker, more predatory side to the plant kingdom, where a beautiful leaf can hide a gruesome, slow demise. Did you know there are types of tapeworms that can live in your intestines for many years without causing any noticeable symptoms? These parasitic flatworms can enter the human body through contaminated food or water, often from undercooked meat. Once inside, they attach to the intestinal wall and can grow to astonishing lengths, sometimes dozens of feet. The truly creepy aspect is their stealth. For years, you could be unknowingly hosting a large, living organism within your own body, feeding off your nutrients, completely without your knowledge. They are silent squatters, thriving unseen, only revealing their presence through subtle symptoms or, most disturbingly, by passing segments through your stool. It's a chilling thought that something so alien and large could be a hidden occupant of your own body, a biological stowaway thriving in the dark. Did you know that if you don't fully close your eyes when you sleep, tiny creatures might crawl into them? While the idea of insects entering your eyes is certainly unsettling, the reality is a bit more nuanced and perhaps even more pervasive. When we sleep, our eyelids act as a protective barrier. However, if they don't seal completely, the exposed surface of the eye, particularly the delicate conjunctiva, can become vulnerable. It's not necessarily large spiders or cockroaches that are the threat, but rather microscopic mites, dust particles, and other airborne debris. These tiny invaders can cause irritation, dryness, or even minor infections. The thought that even during our most vulnerable state of rest, our bodies might be unknowingly exposed to unseen microscopic life, and that our own protective mechanisms might fail, highlights a subtle, yet constant vulnerability we rarely consider. Did you know some ancient tombs have been found with scratch marks on the inside of the coffin lids? This chilling discovery is a stark reminder of historical fears surrounding premature burial, a very real concern in times when signs of death weren't as definitively understood as they are today. Before modern medical diagnostics, people could be mistakenly pronounced dead due to comas, deep trances, or certain illnesses that mimic death. Imagine the sheer terror of waking up in a dark, confined space, realizing you've been buried alive. The frantic struggle, the desperate clawing at the wooden lid, leaving behind indelible marks of a horrific final moment. These eerie findings serve as a tangible link to a past where the line between life and death was often agonizingly thin, and the ultimate nightmare was a terrifying, claustrophobic awakening within one's own grave. Did you know the bacteria on your computer keyboard can be more numerous than those on a toilet seat? This fact often comes as a shocking realization, challenging our perceptions of what's clean and dirty. We regularly clean our bathrooms, but our keyboards, used daily and often while eating or sniffling, rarely receive the same attention. Studies have shown that keyboards can harbor thousands, even millions, of bacteria per square inch, including common culprits like E. coli and staphylococcus, transferred from our hands, food particles, and respiratory droplets. The warmth and crevices of a keyboard create an ideal breeding ground for these microscopic inhabitants. It's a slightly unsettling thought that a device we interact with so intimately and constantly might be a bustling metropolis for unseen germs, potentially making it a more significant vector for illness than we realize. Did you know before refrigerators, people often had to stay awake all night guarding deceased bodies to ensure they weren't buried alive? This macabre practice highlights the widespread fear of premature burial, taphophobia, in centuries past. Without the benefit of modern medical science, determining the exact moment of death was incredibly difficult. Conditions like catatonia, comas, or certain types of paralysis could mimic death, leading to agonizing mistakes. To prevent such a horror, families would often wake the dead, holding vigils over the body, sometimes for days, listening for any sign of life. A breath, a twitch, a groan. The thought of loved ones huddled around a coffin, listening intently in the dead of night for signs of life from what they believed was a corpse, is a chilling testament to a bygone era's anxieties about death and its uncertainties. Did you know on average, about 10 people die each year from being crushed by their own internal organs in accidents? This incredibly specific and gruesome fact, while perhaps sensationalized in its exact number, points to the brutal forces at play in high-impact traumas. In severe accidents, like car crashes or falls from great heights, the sheer deceleration force can cause internal organs to shift violently within the body. While the skeletal structure might offer some protection, the soft tissues and organs can literally be torn from their anchor points or suffer massive blunt force trauma by impacting against the rigid cage of the ribs or spine. The idea that your own vital components, designed to sustain life, could become the instruments of your demise in a catastrophic event is a stark and deeply unsettling reminder of the fragility of the human body when subjected to extreme external forces. Did you know there's a rare condition called fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, FOP, which causes soft tissues in the body to gradually turn into bone? Often referred to as Stone Man syndrome, FOP is an agonizing and progressively debilitating genetic disorder. Sufferers experience episodes where muscles, tendons, and ligaments, all soft connective tissues, become inflamed and then ossify, meaning they turn into solid bone. This process can happen spontaneously or after minor trauma, effectively locking the body into a permanent, rigid structure. Imagine waking up to find parts of your body becoming immobile, as if you're slowly turning into a statue. Over time, individuals with FOP become completely immobilized, their joints fusing into unmovable masses of bone. It's a terrifying and tragic condition that literally turns one's own body against itself, creating a living prison of bone. Did you know sometimes, after death, a person's hair and fingernails can appear to grow longer due to the skin receding? This is a common misconception, but the underlying biological process is still quite macabre. Hair and nail growth requires a complex metabolic process that ceases after death. What happens is that the skin around the nails and hair follicles dehydrates and shrinks. This retraction of the skin makes the nails and hair appear more prominent, giving the illusion of continued growth. The chilling part is the visual effect. Seeing a deceased loved one in a coffin, their nails or hair seemingly longer than before, adds an unsettling layer to the final viewing. It's a stark reminder of the body's post-mortem changes and how, even in stillness, the physical form undergoes unsettling transformations, making the familiar suddenly alien. Did you know if you're alone in a quiet room and hear a faint pop, it might be the sound of your own bones self-adjusting? This isn't a sign of anything sinister, but the thought of your skeletal structure making audible sounds without your conscious effort can be quite eerie. Our joints contain synovial fluid, which has dissolved gases. When you stretch or move in certain ways, the pressure within the joint changes, causing these gas bubbles to collapse or form rapidly, creating a pop or crack. While often associated with deliberately cracking knuckles, these sounds can also occur spontaneously as you shift position, particularly in quiet environments. It's a subtle, internal reminder of the complex mechanical workings of your body, creating unexpected noises from within your very own frame, often at the most unexpected and quiet moments. Did you know there are certain types of caterpillars that can produce venom potent enough to cause severe reactions or even death if touched? Most people think of caterpillars as harmless, fuzzy creatures, but some species defy this perception. Take, for example, the Lonomia obliqua caterpillar from South America, whose bristles contain a potent anticoagulant venom. Simply brushing against these seemingly innocuous larvae can lead to severe internal bleeding, kidney failure, and even death if not treated immediately. Similarly, the puss caterpillar in North America has venomous spines hidden beneath its fluffy exterior that can cause intense pain, rashes, and other systemic effects. These instances are a chilling reminder that danger can lurk in the most unexpected and outwardly innocent-looking forms in nature, turning a casual brush with wildlife into a potentially fatal encounter. Did you know some insects can lay their eggs inside other living creatures, and the larvae will then consume the host from the inside out? This gruesome reality is a common strategy in the parasitic insect world, particularly among certain species of wasps and flies. For instance, the larvae of some tachinid flies develop inside caterpillars, slowly devouring their host's non-vital tissues first, keeping the caterpillar alive as long as possible before finally killing it as they emerge. Similarly, the Dermatobia hominis, human botfly, can lay its eggs on mosquitoes, which then transfer the eggs to a human host. The larvae burrow under the skin, creating a painful, growing lump where they feed and develop before eventually emerging. This alien-esque method of reproduction is a truly horrifying example of nature's brutal efficiency, turning one creature's body into a living nursery and food source for another. Did you know you can experience sleep paralysis, a state where you are fully conscious but unable to move or speak? This terrifying phenomenon occurs when your mind wakes up before your body does. You might find yourself lying in bed, fully aware of your surroundings, yet completely unable to move a muscle or utter a sound. Often, sleep paralysis is accompanied by vivid and terrifying hallucinations as your dream state bleeds into reality. People report seeing shadowy figures, feeling a crushing weight on their chest, or hearing whispers. The sheer helplessness and the vivid, often malevolent, imagery can make these episodes incredibly frightening, blurring the lines between reality and nightmare and leaving you trapped in your own conscious but paralyzed body. Did you know there are lakes with concentrated carbon dioxide gas at the bottom, which can suddenly erupt and kill all living creatures nearby? These are known as limnic eruptions, and they are incredibly rare but catastrophically deadly. Lakes like Lake Nyos in Cameroon are naturally filled with dissolved CO2 from volcanic activity beneath them. If the lake waters are disturbed, perhaps by an earthquake, a landslide, or even a strong wind, the gas can suddenly be released, forming a massive, invisible cloud of carbon dioxide. Since CO2 is heavier than air, this cloud hugs the ground, displacing oxygen and suffocating every living thing in its path. Imagine an entire village or a herd of animals suddenly dropping dead, with no warning, no visible threat, just an invisible wave of death washing over them. Did you know that before the advent of modern photography, people sometimes used magnesium flash lamps to photograph deceased individuals to make them appear as if they were merely sleeping? This macabre practice, known as post-mortem photography, was common in the Victorian era, particularly for children. Given the high mortality rates and the expense of photography, it was often the only chance families had to capture an image of a loved one. Photographers would pose the deceased, sometimes even with props to make them seem alive or resting, and then use bright flash lamps to illuminate the scene. The resulting images, often depicting individuals with an unnerving stillness, can be incredibly eerie to modern eyes, a chilling window into historical grieving practices and a time when death was an even more omnipresent part of daily life. Did you know some people believe that spirits can become trapped in mirrors? This ancient superstition dates back centuries, rooted in various cultures. The idea often stems from the belief that a mirror doesn't just reflect an image, but also captures a part of the soul or acts as a portal to another dimension. Breaking a mirror is said to bring bad luck, perhaps because it's seen as shattering this portal or trapping a reflection indefinitely. In some traditions, mirrors are covered after a death to prevent the deceased spirit from becoming trapped or to keep evil spirits from entering the living world. The thought of a reflective surface, something so commonplace, potentially holding the lingering essence of something unseen and otherworldly, adds a subtle layer of unease to every glance in the looking glass. Did you know you inhale billions of bacteria, fungal spores, and dead skin cells every single day? Every breath we take isn't just pure, clean air. It's a microscopic cocktail of biological particles, constantly swirling around us and entering our respiratory systems. While most of these are harmless or filtered out by our bodies, the sheer volume is staggering. This unseen cloud includes bacteria from various surfaces, fungal spores from the environment, and, perhaps most unsettling, microscopic flakes of skin from every person and pet around you. It's a constant, involuntary interaction with the invisible microbial world, a subtle reminder that even when we think we're isolated, we're always immersed in a dynamic, living atmosphere filled with countless tiny organisms, many of which are derived from other living or previously living beings. Did you know there are antique dolls that were made with real human hair from deceased individuals? While some modern dolls use synthetic hair or animal hair, certain historical dolls, especially those from the Victorian era or earlier, would sometimes incorporate human hair. In a time of high child mortality and different societal norms around death, using a deceased child's hair to create a doll or a memento was a way to keep their memory alive. While perhaps seen as a tender act of remembrance then, the thought of playing with a doll adorned with actual human hair, particularly if it belonged to someone who has passed, is deeply unsettling to contemporary sensibilities. It blurs the line between object and relic, giving these seemingly innocent toys a macabre and ghostly undertone. Did you know in some ancient cultures, it was believed that the soul could escape the body through the mouth when someone sneezed? This intriguing superstition often led to the custom of saying, "bless you," or similar phrases after a sneeze. The belief was that a sneeze was a momentary expulsion of the spirit or, conversely, an opening through which evil spirits could enter the body. The blessing was therefore an act of protection, either to keep the soul from leaving permanently or to ward off malevolent entities. This ancient idea highlights a primal fear of losing one's essence or being possessed, transforming a simple physiological reflex into a vulnerable moment fraught with unseen spiritual dangers. It's a fascinating glimpse into how our ancestors perceived the unseen forces at play within and around the human body. Did you know a rat can squeeze through a hole as small as your thumb? This alarming fact reveals the incredible flexibility and resilience of these common rodents, making them notoriously difficult to keep out of homes and buildings. Rats have collapsible skeletons, meaning they can flatten their bodies and push through incredibly tight spaces as long as their skull can fit through the opening. The thought of these creatures, often associated with disease and filth, silently infiltrating your home through tiny cracks and crevices, making their way into walls, attics, and even plumbing systems, is deeply unsettling. It's a constant, unseen invasion that highlights how easily our domestic spaces can be breached by determined, resilient, and unwanted guests, often without us ever knowing until it's too late. Did you know there's a type of deadly fog, primarily sulfur dioxide gas, that can form in certain areas and instantly kill anyone who breathes it in? This phenomenon, often associated with volcanic regions, is an invisible killer. Sulfur dioxide, a heavy, toxic gas, can accumulate in low-lying areas, especially in calm conditions. When it reaches lethal concentrations, it displaces oxygen, leading to rapid suffocation. Unlike visible smoke or steam, this fog is often undetectable by sight or smell until it's too late. Imagine walking into an area that looks perfectly normal, only to suddenly gasp for breath and collapse, surrounded by an invisible, odorless cloud of death. It's a chilling reminder of the hidden dangers that nature can harbor, turning an apparently benign landscape into a silent, deadly trap. Did you know there have been mysterious cases of spontaneous human combustion, where a body ignites and burns to ashes without any external source of ignition? While highly controversial and often explained by natural causes in modern forensics, historical accounts of spontaneous human combustion, SHC, are truly unsettling. Witnesses describe bodies, often found in seemingly mundane settings, reduced to ash, while surrounding objects like furniture remain largely untouched. Theories range from internal chemical reactions to the wick effect, where a person's body fat acts as a candle, but none fully explain every case to universal satisfaction. The idea that a human body could inexplicably burst into flames, leaving behind a scene of almost impossible destruction, defies logic and taps into a primal fear of losing control over one's own physical form in the most terrifying way imaginable. Did you know there's a rare disease called Stone Man syndrome, fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, where soft tissues in the body gradually turn into bone? While I mentioned FOP earlier, to expand on its horror, imagine living with the agonizing reality that every bump, bruise, or even a simple fall could trigger new bone growth, effectively locking your body into a permanent, rigid state. It's like being trapped within your own constantly solidifying skeleton. Tendons, ligaments, and muscles, tissues that allow you to move freely, progressively ossify, creating extraskeletal formations that ultimately fuse joints. This means movements become impossible, limbs become fixed in place, and eventually, the chest cavity can become so rigid that breathing becomes severely impaired. The relentless, irreversible progression of FOP makes it one of the most terrifying genetic conditions, transforming a living, flexible human into an unyielding, stony prison. Did you know if you survive a shipwreck and are stranded at sea, the chances of you being eaten by sharks are surprisingly high? While Hollywood often sensationalizes shark attacks, the reality for a survivor adrift in open water is grim. Sharks are apex predators, and their senses are incredibly keen, especially for blood and erratic movements. A person struggling in the water, perhaps injured or exhausted, emits signals that attract these powerful hunters. Without a solid surface to rest on, you become an isolated, vulnerable target in a vast, unforgiving environment. The deep, dark expanse of the ocean, already a terrifying place to be lost, becomes infinitely more menacing when you consider the silent, predatory inhabitants that might be circling beneath the waves, drawn to your presence. Did you know in the past, small bells were sometimes attached to coffins so that prematurely buried individuals could signal for help? This morbid precaution, known as a safety coffin, emerged from the very real and pervasive fear of being buried alive. Before medical advancements could definitively confirm death, cases of people awakening in their graves, sometimes leaving scratch marks on coffin lids, as mentioned before, were terrifyingly plausible. The bell was a last-ditch effort for survival, offering a faint hope of rescue. Imagine the sheer terror of regaining consciousness in the suffocating darkness of a coffin, then frantically trying to ring a bell, hoping someone above ground hears your desperate plea. It's a stark, chilling testament to how deeply the fear of taphophobia permeated society, leading to such macabre and desperate measures. Did you know there's a type of black mold that can grow in your home and cause serious health problems? This isn't just common mildew. Stachybotrys chartarum, often referred to as black mold, produces toxic compounds called mycotoxins. If allowed to proliferate in damp, dark areas of a home, behind walls, under floors, in basements, it can release these spores into the air. Inhaling these mycotoxins can lead to a range of severe symptoms, including respiratory issues, skin rashes, neurological problems, and chronic fatigue. The insidious nature of black mold lies in its hidden growth, silently spreading within your living spaces, transforming your own home into a source of illness and unease. The thought that an unseen, potentially deadly fungus could be lurking within your walls is a truly creepy domestic threat. Did you know some people are so obsessed with the idea of being buried alive that they request special measures upon their death? This intense fear, known as taphophobia, can lead individuals to make extreme and specific demands in their wills or living directives. These requests might include being cremated immediately upon death, having their wrists or ankles slashed to ensure no life remains, or even being buried with a cell phone or a system to alert others if they somehow awaken. The psychological torment of this phobia is immense, forcing individuals to confront their deepest fears about suffocation, darkness, and ultimate helplessness. It illustrates how a primal fear can shape one's entire perspective on death, leading to desperate attempts to exert control over the unknown. Did you know there are certain insects that can survive being completely frozen solid and then thaw out and continue living? This incredible biological feat, known as cryopreservation, is a hallmark of certain extremophiles. Take the woolly bear caterpillar, for example. When winter arrives, it produces a natural antifreeze in its body, allowing its cells to withstand the formation of ice crystals. It can literally freeze solid, its heart stopping, and its bodily functions ceasing. Then, when temperatures rise in the spring, it thaws out and resumes its life as if nothing happened. The idea of a creature completely shutting down, entering a state indistinguishable from death, only to spontaneously reanimate, is both fascinating and profoundly eerie, blurring the very definition of what it means to be alive. Did you know some people suffer from boanthropy, a rare psychological disorder where they believe they are a cow and attempt to live as one? This incredibly bizarre and disturbing delusion is a form of zoanthropy, where an individual believes they are an animal. A person with boanthropy might exhibit bovine behaviors, such as grazing on grass, mooing, or attempting to walk on all fours. The profound detachment from human identity and the complete immersion in an animalistic delusion are deeply unsettling. It highlights the vast and often dark complexities of the human mind, where reality can be completely rewired, trapping an individual in a horrifying and isolated mental state, completely convinced they are no longer human. Did you know there are species of fish that can walk on land and breathe through their skin? The walking catfish, native to Southeast Asia, is a prime example. Equipped with modified fins that act like crude legs and a specialized respiratory organ that allows them to take in atmospheric oxygen, these fish can actually walk short distances over land, particularly during periods of drought or to migrate to new bodies of water. The sight of a fish wriggling its way across dry ground, seemingly defying its aquatic nature, can be quite unsettling. It challenges our basic understanding of what a fish is and its natural habitat, revealing nature's capacity for unexpected adaptations that can feel strangely out of place and a little creepy. Did you know if you get lost in a forest, the growl of a predator can sound like it's coming from any direction? This unsettling phenomenon is due to the way sound waves travel and interact with environmental factors in dense, complex terrain. Low-frequency sounds, like a deep growl, tend to travel further and are less easily localized by our ears, especially when bouncing off trees and uneven surfaces. In a silent, unfamiliar forest, already prone to causing a sense of isolation and vulnerability, the inability to pinpoint the source of a potential threat amplifies terror. It turns the entire surrounding environment into a potential source of danger, making every rustle and every distant sound a heart-stopping question mark. Did you know there are documented cases of poltergeist activity, where objects seemingly move on their own or are thrown around? Poltergeist phenomena, meaning noisy ghost, in German, refer to alleged physical disturbances caused by unseen forces, rather than visual apparitions. Reports often describe objects being flung across rooms, furniture being rearranged, unexplained noises like knocking or scratching, and even physical assaults. While many cases are eventually debunked as hoaxes or natural occurrences, the sheer number of similar accounts across cultures and centuries is unsettling. The idea that invisible entities could manipulate the physical world around us, turning everyday objects into instruments of terror and chaos, challenges our sense of control and leaves us open to the terrifying possibility of unseen forces at play in our own homes. Did you know human blood can clot into dangerous masses, causing life-threatening blockages within the body? While blood clotting is a vital process that stops bleeding, it can turn deadly when it occurs inappropriately inside blood vessels. These internal clots, or thrombi, can form in veins, deep vein thrombosis, or arteries, restricting blood flow and potentially breaking off to travel through the bloodstream. If a clot reaches the lungs, it causes a pulmonary embolism, leading to sudden and severe breathing difficulties and often death. If it goes to the brain, it can cause a stroke, to the heart, a heart attack. The unsettling part is that this natural, life-saving mechanism can turn rogue, transforming a vital fluid into a solid, obstructive killer from within, silently jeopardizing your life without external warning. Did you know some people experience auditory hallucinations, hearing voices or sounds that aren't actually there? This can be an incredibly distressing and isolating experience. Unlike external sounds, these hallucinations originate within the mind, yet they can be as vivid and real to the individual as anything truly heard. The voices might be whispering, shouting, commenting, or even issuing commands. They can be benign, but often they are critical, threatening, or even malevolent, causing immense fear and paranoia. The unsettling aspect is the profound breach of reality, where one's own mind creates a personal, unseen soundscape that only they can hear, blurring the lines between internal thought and external reality, making it difficult to trust one's own perceptions. Did you know there are certain haunted houses so terrifying that no one can live in them for long? These aren't just old, creaky houses. These are properties with such a strong reputation for paranormal activity that every new resident eventually flees. Reports often include unexplained cold spots, disembodied voices, objects moving on their own, disturbing apparitions, and a pervasive sense of dread. The sheer psychological toll of living in a place where the boundaries of reality seem to constantly shift, where unseen forces appear to exert their will, drives people to abandon their homes, sometimes leaving everything behind. The idea of a building itself possessing such a powerful, negative energy that it actively repels human habitation is a chilling thought, turning a place of shelter into a source of unending torment. Did you know some types of parasites can alter their host behavior to increase their own chances of spreading? This is one of nature's most insidious strategies. For example, the Toxoplasma gondii parasite, commonly found in cats, can infect rodents. When a mouse or rat is infected, the parasite alters its brain chemistry, making the rodent lose its innate fear of cat urine. This bold behavior makes the infected rodent more likely to be caught and eaten by a cat, thereby completing the parasite's life cycle. Similarly, other parasites can compel their insect hosts to commit suicide by drowning themselves, allowing the parasite to emerge. The thought of an organism hijacking another's free will, turning it into a puppet for its own survival, is a truly disturbing display of biological manipulation. Did you know if you stare into your own eyes in a mirror long enough in the dark, you might start to see bizarre illusions? This phenomenon, known as the trochlear effect or peripheral fading, is a perceptual illusion that happens when you fix your gaze steadily on a central point for an extended period. In dim light, with little other visual stimulation, your brain starts to fatigue from the unchanging input and begins to fill in the gaps. As you stare at your own reflection, your face might appear to distort, melt, or even transform into grotesque or unfamiliar visages, sometimes resembling monsters, animals, or even deceased loved ones. It's a psychological trick of the mind, but the experience can be deeply unsettling, turning your own reflection into a source of unsettling and uncanny visions. Did you know there are cases of people contracting flesh-eating bacteria that cause rapid necrosis of the body? Necrotizing fasciitis, often inaccurately called flesh-eating bacteria, is a severe bacterial infection that spreads quickly, destroying the body's soft tissue. The bacteria, most commonly grouped as Streptococcus, enter through a cut or wound and then release toxins that destroy the tissue surrounding muscles, nerves, fat, and blood vessels. The infection progresses at an alarming rate, sometimes within hours, causing excruciating pain, swelling, and gangrene. Without immediate, aggressive treatment, often involving extensive surgical removal of infected tissue, amputation, or even death, the body literally begins to consume itself from the inside out. The horror of witnessing your own body rapidly decaying while still alive is a truly terrifying and life-threatening ordeal. Did you know a rat can survive a fall from a height equivalent to a 5-story building? This astonishing resilience of rats stems from their small body mass-to-surface area ratio. When falling, they reach a terminal velocity that is not high enough to cause fatal impact injuries. Unlike larger animals, they spread out their limbs, almost like a parachute, to maximize air resistance, allowing them to hit the ground with significantly less force than a human or a dog. The thought that these creatures can withstand such falls, scurrying away seemingly unharmed after plummeting from heights that would be deadly to us, highlights their incredible toughness and adaptability. It makes them even harder to eliminate, adding to their creepy reputation as tenacious, unwelcome invaders. Did you know there are caves filled with toxic gases that can instantly kill anyone who steps inside? These natural death traps are often found in areas with geological activity where gases like carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, or methane accumulate in low-lying, poorly ventilated spaces. Unlike surface air, these gases are heavier and settle, displacing breathable oxygen. Entering such a cave without specialized equipment would lead to rapid unconsciousness and death from asphyxiation, often without warning, as some of these gases are odorless. The idea of stepping into an apparently harmless natural formation, only for it to silently and immediately claim your life, is a terrifying thought, turning a wonder of nature into a hidden, deadly, and inescapable trap. Did you know if a person drowns, their body might float to the surface several days later due to decomposition gases? When a body is submerged in water after death, the natural process of decomposition begins. Bacteria within the body start to break down tissues, producing gases like methane, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen sulfide. These gases accumulate within the body cavity, causing it to inflate. As the body becomes more buoyant, it can eventually rise to the surface, sometimes days or even weeks after the drowning occurred. The appearance of a body swollen and discolored by these gases, suddenly surfacing from the depths, is a profoundly unsettling and often gruesome sight, adding a macabre twist to the tragedy of drowning. Did you know there are ancient trees large enough to house an entire small building inside their trunks? While not exactly creepy in the traditional sense, the sheer scale and longevity of these colossal trees can evoke a sense of awe mixed with a slight unease at their immense, silent power. For example, some giant sequoias or baobab trees have trunks so enormous that they have been hollowed out by natural processes or human intervention to create shelters, chapels, or even small car tunnels. The thought of stepping inside a living organism that has existed for thousands of years, capable of engulfing an entire structure within its woody embrace, is a humbling and slightly uncanny experience, reminding us of nature's ancient and immense forces. Did you know that in the past, human corpses were sometimes used as fertilizer for crops? This grim practice, while unsettling to modern sensibilities, was not uncommon in various historical periods and cultures, particularly when resources were scarce or as part of specific burial rituals. The idea was to return the body to the earth, allowing its nutrients to enrich the soil and foster new life. While the direct use of human remains as fertilizer is less common now due to health concerns and ethical considerations, the underlying principle of decomposition, returning organic matter to the earth, remains fundamental to natural cycles. Nevertheless, the thought of the very food we consume being nourished by the decomposed bodies of others is a stark, macabre reminder of the interconnectedness of life and death. and how even our most basic sustenance can be linked to the cycle of decay. Did you know there's a type of bedbug that sucks human blood while you sleep and can transmit diseases? While common bedbugs, Cimex lectularius, are primarily nuisance pests that cause itchy bites, some species, particularly in tropical regions or those with less sanitation, can indeed act as vectors for various pathogens. These tiny, nocturnal creatures emerge from crevices in mattresses, furniture, or walls to feed on unsuspecting hosts. The unsettling aspect is their stealthy nature. They feed while you are in your deepest sleep, often leaving behind only itchy welts as evidence. The thought of these tiny, blood-sucking parasites silently infesting your sleeping space, feeding on you night after night, and potentially introducing disease into your system, transforms your most private and secure space, your bed, into a hidden feeding ground for unwelcome, vampiric guests. Did you know if you stay in water too long, your skin will start to shrivel and look like a corpse's? This phenomenon, often referred to as washerwoman's hands, is caused by the outer layer of your skin, the stratum corneum, absorbing water and swelling. The keratin in your skin swells, and because the skin is attached to the underlying tissues, it wrinkles, forming the distinctive pruned appearance. While a temporary and harmless effect, the comparison to the shriveled skin of a deceased person is what makes it creepy. It's a subtle reminder of the body's vulnerability to environmental changes and how quickly it can take on a morbid appearance, even while still alive and well. The sight of your own hands or feet adopting such a ghastly texture can be strangely unsettling. Did you know some people suffer from nosocomophobia, an intense fear of hospitals? This phobia goes beyond a simple dislike of medical environments. It's a deep-seated dread of hospitals themselves, often rooted in past traumatic experiences, fear of illness, death, or confinement. Individuals with nosocomophobia may avoid seeking necessary medical treatment, putting their health at severe risk. The thought of a place designed for healing and care becoming a source of overwhelming terror is deeply unsettling. For those afflicted, a hospital transforms into a claustrophobic, menacing environment, a prison where they might be trapped, exposed to suffering, or ultimately face their own demise. It highlights how personal history and anxiety can twist even a place of refuge into an object of profound and debilitating fear. Did you know there are still existing tribes today that practice cannibalism, though very rarely and often for ritualistic reasons? While widespread, recreational cannibalism is largely a thing of the past. Isolated instances or historical accounts within certain remote tribal communities have been documented. Often, these practices were not about hunger, but deeply symbolic, ritualistic acts related to mourning, spiritual beliefs, or gaining the strength of a deceased enemy. The thought of humans consuming other humans, even if for complex cultural reasons, is profoundly disturbing and taps into a primal taboo. It challenges our understanding of human nature and civilization, revealing a darker, more primitive side of human behavior that continues to exist, albeit rarely, in the world. Did you know a crocodile can survive without food for over a year? These ancient reptiles are incredibly efficient predators, capable of incredible feats of metabolic suppression. Their cold-blooded nature means they require significantly less energy than warm-blooded animals, allowing them to slow down their metabolism to an astonishing degree. This adaptability enables them to endure long periods of drought or food scarcity by entering a state of torpor. The thought of a large, powerful predator lying in wait, perfectly still and patient, capable of surviving for such an extended period on nothing but its stored energy, makes them even more terrifying. It imbues them with a sinister patience, a primal waiting game that enhances their reputation as ancient, calculating killers. Did you know some ancient graves have been found with skeletons that were tied up or pinned down to prevent them from returning? This macabre practice reveals deep-seated fears in many ancient cultures about the restless dead, particularly those believed to be vampires, revenants, or malevolent spirits. To prevent the deceased from rising from their graves and tormenting the living, various measures were taken. Bodies might be buried face down, weighed down with stones, or even dismembered. Most chillingly, some skeletons have been found with stakes driven through their chests, or with their limbs bound with ropes, explicit attempts to physically restrain the corpse. These findings offer a chilling glimpse into the supernatural anxieties of our ancestors, showcasing their desperate attempts to control death and protect themselves from what they believed were the horrors of the grave. Did you know in a vacuum, your blood would boil? While often depicted dramatically in science fiction, the reality of what happens to the human body in the vacuum of space is terrifyingly swift. Without the atmospheric pressure that keeps liquids stable on Earth, the water in your blood and other bodily fluids would rapidly turn into gas at body temperature, causing them to boil and expand. While your skin and circulatory system would offer some momentary resistance, the effect would be almost immediate and catastrophic. It's a stark, gruesome reminder of how perfectly adapted we are to our terrestrial environment and how utterly vulnerable we become in the harsh, unforgiving void of space, where the very fluids that sustain life would betray us in a horrifying physical transformation. Did you know there's a type of spider that can live underwater by creating a bubble of air as its own personal diving bell? The diving bell spider, Argyroneta aquatica, is a unique arachnid that spends almost its entire life submerged in fresh water. To breathe, it weaves a silk web between aquatic plants, then repeatedly carries air bubbles from the surface down to its web, filling it to create a larger bubble where it can live, eat, and even lay eggs. The thought of a spider, typically associated with dry, dusty corners, not only living underwater but actively creating its own oxygen supply in a self-made bubble, is both fascinating and incredibly creepy. It transforms a familiar creature into something alien and ingenious, existing in a realm where it seemingly shouldn't, turning a pond into a hidden, watery lair. Did you know if you die in space, your body would freeze and mummify? Unlike on Earth where bodies decompose, in the vacuum and extreme cold of deep space, a body would undergo a very different, yet equally macabre, transformation. Without oxygen, bacteria that cause decomposition wouldn't survive, and the intense cold would freeze the bodily fluids. Over time, any remaining moisture would sublimate, turn directly from ice to gas, into the vacuum, leaving behind a perfectly preserved, freeze-dried corpse. While not rotting, the sight of a human body, frozen solid and eerily mummified, floating silently through the endless void, is perhaps even more chilling than traditional decomposition, a silent, timeless testament to a lonely end. Did you know a cockroach can live for several weeks without its head? This truly unsettling fact highlights the incredible resilience and decentralized nervous system of these common household pests. Unlike mammals, a cockroach doesn't rely on its head to control its vital functions. Its brain is distributed throughout its body, and it breathes through spiracles, small holes, along its segments, not just through its mouth. It can still walk, react to stimuli, and even attempt to mate without a head. The cockroach will eventually die, not from the decapitation itself, but from starvation or dehydration, as it can no longer eat or drink. The image of a headless insect scurrying about, perfectly capable of navigating its environment, is a profoundly creepy and biologically alien thought, challenging our very understanding of life and survival. Did you know there are types of fungi that glow in the dark? This phenomenon, known as bioluminescence, is more commonly associated with fireflies or deep-sea creatures, but it also occurs in certain fungal species. Often found in damp, decaying wooded forests, these foxfire fungi emit a soft, ethereal glow, transforming the forest floor into a subtly eerie, glowing landscape at night. While beautiful in its own right, the sight of an organic material radiating light without any apparent heat or external source can be quite unsettling, almost ghostly. It's a reminder of the hidden, alien beauty and strangeness that nature conceals, where the very decay of the forest can produce an otherworldly, self-illuminating presence in the darkest hours. Did you know in some cases, people experiencing a heart attack can die without showing any noticeable symptoms? This silent killer is known as a silent heart attack or silent myocardial infarction. Unlike the classic dramatic chest pain often depicted, some individuals experience only mild, vague symptoms like fatigue, shortness of breath, or discomfort in the jaw, back, or neck, or even no symptoms at all. They might mistake it for indigestion or muscle strain. The frightening aspect is the complete lack of alarm. A vital organ is undergoing severe damage, potentially leading to death, while the individual remains unaware of the critical danger. It's a chilling reminder of the body's internal vulnerabilities, where a life-threatening event can unfold without so much as a scream, making it an insidious and undetectable threat lurking within. Did you know there are infrasound frequencies that are inaudible to the human ear but can cause feelings of anxiety or fear? Infrasound consists of very low-frequency sound waves, below 20 Hz, that are beyond the range of human hearing. However, even though we can't consciously hear them, our bodies can still perceive and react to these vibrations. Natural phenomena like strong winds, earthquakes, and even certain large animals can produce infrasound. Exposure to it has been linked to feelings of unease, dread, sorrow, extreme sadness, or even the sensation of a presence or ghostly encounters. The idea that unseen and unheard vibrations in our environment can directly manipulate our emotional state, inducing fear or paranoia without any discernible source, is a truly creepy concept, suggesting a hidden layer of sensory influence that we are constantly susceptible to. Did you know some hotels are renowned for having intense supernatural activity? Beyond casual creaks and groans of old buildings, certain hotels have decades, if not centuries, of documented reports of ghostly apparitions, disembodied voices, objects moving on their own, and strange cold spots. These are often places with tragic histories, fires, murders, suicides, or long-term residents who passed away within their walls. The idea of checking into a seemingly luxurious or charming hotel, only to find yourself sharing a room with unseen entities or experiencing unexplained phenomena during your stay, is a common trope in horror, but for some, it's a terrifying reality. It blurs the line between a place of rest and a spectral playground, making every shadow and every unexplained noise a source of genuine dread. Did you know there are types of bacteria that can eat metal? While we typically think of rust as a chemical process of oxidation, certain microbes can accelerate or even directly contribute to the corrosion of metals, including iron and steel. These metal-eating bacteria, like Gallionella or Thiobacillus ferrooxidans, metabolize the metal, essentially eating it for energy, leaving behind pits and weakening the material. The thought that microscopic organisms, unseen and unheard, can slowly but relentlessly degrade strong, man-made structures like pipelines, bridges, or ship hulls, causing catastrophic failures from within, is a chilling reminder of the pervasive power of the microbial world. It's an invisible army silently working to break down our infrastructure, turning solid metal into dust. Did you know if you stare at a statue long enough, you might get the feeling it's moving? This unsettling psychological phenomenon is often experienced with lifelike statues or mannequins, particularly in dimly lit environments. It's a combination of the uncanny valley effect, where something looks almost human but not quite, and how our brains process static images. When you fix your gaze, your peripheral vision might play tricks, or your brain might try to interpret subtle shifts in light and shadow as movement. The resulting illusion can be profoundly creepy, as an inanimate object suddenly seems to be shifting, watching, or subtly coming to life, turning a piece of art into a source of inexplicable unease, as if the cold stone or plastic holds a hidden, dormant consciousness. Did you know there are cases of people being trapped in caves and never found? Caving, or spelunking, can be an exhilarating exploration of the underworld, but it carries immense risks. Caves are vast, complex, and often unstable environments with narrow passages, sudden drops, underground rivers, and the constant threat of rockfalls or flooding. When an explorer gets lost or trapped deep within a cave system, rescue efforts become incredibly difficult due to the confined spaces, darkness, and treacherous conditions. The thought of being alone in absolute darkness, miles underground, with no way out, slowly running out of air and hope, is one of the most primal and terrifying scenarios imaginable. It's a claustrophobic nightmare, a silent, inescapable tomb forged by nature itself. Did you know there are types of plants that can produce a smell resembling rotten flesh to attract insects? These are often called carrion flowers, and their gruesome mimicry is a clever evolutionary strategy. Plants like the Titan arum, Amorphophallus titanum, or the dead horse arum Helicodiceros massivorus, emit powerful, putrid odors designed to attract flies, beetles, and other insects that typically feed on decaying organic matter. These insects, drawn in by the stench, then inadvertently pollinate the flower. While brilliant from an evolutionary standpoint, the experience of encountering such a plant is deeply unsettling, as the air fills with the unmistakable aroma of death, emanating from something that is very much alive. It's a fascinating yet repugnant example of nature's bizarre and grotesque beauty. Did you know some people suffer from Tourette's syndrome, a neurological disorder that causes involuntary sounds or movements? These sudden, repetitive, non-rhythmic movements or vocalizations are called tics. While often associated with involuntary swearing, coprolalia, which is relatively rare, Tourette's can manifest in a wide range of tics, from simple eye blinks, throat clearing, or head jerks to more complex movements and vocalizations. The truly creepy aspect is the lack of control. Individuals with Tourette's often feel a strong urge to perform a tic, and trying to suppress it can be incredibly uncomfortable. It's a constant, involuntary battle within one's own body, where the nervous system sends out unexpected commands, sometimes leading to socially awkward or personally distressing behaviors, making the body feel like it's acting independently of one's will. Did you know there are cameras purported to capture images of supernatural entities? These aren't your everyday digital cameras. We're talking about devices sometimes modified with infrared or ultraviolet filters, or antique cameras that, in the hands of paranormal enthusiasts, are believed to pick up frequencies or light spectrums invisible to the human eye. The eerie aspect comes from the resulting images, blurred figures, unexplained orbs of light, or strange distortions that are interpreted as ghosts or spirits. While skeptics offer scientific explanations like dust particles, lens flares, or long exposures, the unsettling thought remains for believers that these devices might truly be a window into another realm, silently recording the presence of the unseen and spectral. It adds a chilling layer to every photograph, making you wonder what might be lurking just beyond the visible light spectrum. Did you know your blood contains billions of red and white blood cells that are constantly being produced and dying? This continuous cycle within your own body is a testament to its incredible, yet somewhat macabre, efficiency. Every second, millions of old blood cells are dying and being cleared away by your spleen, while millions of new ones are simultaneously being manufactured in your bone marrow. The sheer scale of this microscopic life and death struggle happening within your veins is mind-boggling. It's a silent, ceaseless process of regeneration and decay, turning your bloodstream into a bustling, unseen battlefield where countless cells are born, live out their short lives, and then perish to make way for the next generation. It's a fundamental biological reality, but the constant, internal cellular demise can be a strangely unsettling thought. Did you know some people can have false memories of events that never actually happened? This phenomenon, known as confabulation or false memory syndrome, isn't about lying. It's a genuine belief in events or details that are factually incorrect. Our memories aren't perfect recordings. They're constructive processes, constantly being updated and influenced by new information, emotions, and suggestions. The truly creepy part is the profound unreliability of our own internal narratives. Imagine believing with absolute certainty that something pivotal happened to you, only to later discover it was a complete fabrication, or worse, having someone else convince you of a past you never experienced. It challenges the very foundation of our identity and reality, making us question the truth of our own recollections and blurring the lines between what was real and what was merely imagined. Did you know there are forests so dense that sunlight cannot penetrate through to the ground? These are often found in old-growth tropical rainforests or incredibly thick coniferous forests. The canopy above becomes so intertwined and layered with foliage that it creates an almost perpetual twilight on the forest floor, even at midday. Walking through such a forest can be a profoundly eerie experience. The air is still and humid, sounds are muffled, and the lack of direct sunlight creates an oppressive, shadowy atmosphere. It feels ancient and untouched, a place where visibility is limited and shadows play tricks on your eyes, as if you've stepped into a primeval world where the very light struggles to exist, making it easy to feel lost, vulnerable, and observed by unseen eyes. Did you know a piranha can strip the flesh from a large animal's bones in just a few minutes? While often sensationalized in movies, the feeding frenzy of a large school of piranhas is a terrifying display of nature's efficiency. These fish, known for their razor-sharp teeth and powerful jaws, can indeed swarm a prey item and, through sheer numbers and coordinated biting, rapidly reduce it to its skeletal remains. The thought of being in water with hundreds of these voracious predators, capable of such swift and total consumption, is a primal fear. It's a chilling reminder of the brutal efficiency of the food chain and how quickly life can be extinguished and recycled in the wild, turning a living creature into mere bones in a horrifyingly short amount of time. Did you know there are haunted houses so intensely active that governments have had to purchase and close them down? These aren't just private residences with a few ghost stories. These are properties with such a persistent and undeniable history of paranormal phenomena, poltergeist activity, full-bodied apparitions, violent disturbances, that they become public nuisances or even perceived dangers. In some rare, extreme cases, local authorities or historical societies might intervene, buying the property to prevent further public access or to study the phenomena. The implication is terrifying. A building can become so saturated with unexplained forces that it poses a threat, forcing official intervention. It suggests a level of haunting beyond mere folklore, implying a tangible, unmanageable presence that even authorities deem too dangerous to ignore. Did you know there are cases of patients undergoing surgery who are fully conscious but unable to move or speak due to partially effective anesthesia? This horrifying scenario, known as anesthesia awareness, is a patient's worst nightmare. While pain is usually blocked, the patient remains aware of the sensations, sounds, and even conversations during the operation. They can hear, feel pressure, or even experience the incision, but are utterly powerless to alert the surgical team due to muscle relaxants. The psychological trauma from such an experience can be severe and long-lasting. The idea of being awake and aware during your own invasive surgery, trapped in a paralyzed body, unable to scream or signal for help, is a profoundly chilling medical horror, blurring the line between healing and torture. Did you know some people suffer from trypophobia, an intense aversion to small holes or irregular clusters of holes? This isn't just a mild dislike. It's a visceral reaction that can trigger intense feelings of disgust, anxiety, nausea, or even panic. Common triggers include honeycomb, sponges, seed pods, or even the patterns on some natural surfaces. The creepy aspect lies in the seemingly irrational nature of the fear and the intense physical discomfort it can induce. Imagine looking at an ordinary object and feeling an overwhelming, inexplicable revulsion, as if your very skin is crawling. It highlights how deeply ingrained and peculiar our phobias can be, transforming everyday patterns into a source of profound psychological and physical distress, a strange and unsettling glitch in human perception. Did you know there are restricted areas on Earth that no one is allowed to enter? Beyond typical military bases or government facilities, these are places often shrouded in mystery, with limited or no public access due to extreme environmental hazards, sensitive biological research, or even unconfirmed reports of strange phenomena. Examples include parts of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, certain remote islands harboring highly dangerous diseases, or secretive geological formations. The very existence of such forbidden zones fuels speculation and unease. It implies that there are places on our own planet too dangerous, too secretive, or too bizarre for regular human presence, turning them into real-world, no-go areas that spark the imagination about what chilling secrets they might hold. Did you know some species of snakes can constrict their prey to death without ever biting them? While many snakes rely on venom to incapacitate their victims, constrictors, like pythons and boa constrictors, use pure brute strength. They ambush their prey, rapidly coil their powerful bodies around it, and then squeeze with immense force. Each time the victim exhales, the snake tightens its grip, preventing the next breath. The prey eventually suffocates or dies from cardiac arrest due to the immense pressure rather than being crushed. The chilling efficiency of this method, silently and relentlessly applying pressure until life ceases, is terrifying. It's a cold, methodical form of predation, turning the snake's own body into a silent, inescapable vice, a living instrument of suffocation. Did you know if you drown in a frozen lake, your body might be perfectly preserved for years? This phenomenon is a macabre twist on natural preservation. When a body enters extremely cold water, particularly if it's below freezing and covered by ice, the cold significantly slows down or even halts the process of decomposition. The bacteria that normally break down tissues cannot survive or function effectively in such frigid conditions. Without oxygen and in sub-zero temperatures, the body essentially undergoes a form of natural cryopreservation, retaining its original appearance, sometimes for decades or even centuries. The chilling thought is of a body lost to a watery grave, emerging years later in an eerily intact state, a perfectly preserved testament to a tragic moment frozen in time. Did you know there are types of moths that can drink the tears of other animals? This bizarre and unsettling behavior is exhibited by certain species of calyptra moths, also known as vampire moths or tear-drinking moths. These moths have a specialized proboscis, tongue, that they use to pierce the skin of fruits or even human skin, but some species have evolved to feed on the lacrimal secretions, tears, of sleeping birds, mammals, and even reptiles. The image of a moth, usually associated with fluttering around lights, stealthily landing on a sleeping animal's face to siphon its tears, is profoundly creepy. It transforms a seemingly harmless insect into a nocturnal, opportunistic parasite, feeding on one of the most intimate and vulnerable human secretions, adding a layer of subtle horror to the night. Did you know some people experience visual hallucinations, seeing things that aren't actually there? Unlike simply imagining something, visual hallucinations are vivid, realistic perceptions that occur in the absence of an external stimulus. Individuals might see people, animals, objects, or patterns that are completely non-existent to others. These visions can be fleeting or persistent, benign or terrifying, often appearing without warning and seeming as real as anything in their waking world. The deeply unsettling aspect is the profound breach of reality. The brain manufactures images that are indistinguishable from true perceptions, making it difficult to discern what is real and what is not. It's a terrifying glimpse into the mind's capacity to create its own internal, often frightening, visual landscape, turning one's own vision against them. Did you know there are fish that live at such extreme depths that they would explode if brought to the surface too quickly? These are abyssal or hadal zone fish, adapted to survive under immense pressure, thousands of meters below the ocean's surface. Their bodies are designed to equalize with the crushing pressure of their environment, containing specialized proteins and adaptations that prevent their cells from being crushed. If these fish are rapidly brought to the surface, the sudden and drastic decrease in external pressure causes the gases in their swim bladders and tissues to expand explosively. The horrifying image of a deep-sea creature, perfectly evolved for its dark domain, literally bursting apart as it ascends to our world, is a chilling reminder of the alien nature of the deep ocean and the extreme conditions of life within it. Did you know some people suffer from hypertrichosis, often called werewolf syndrome, which causes excessive hair growth all over the body? This incredibly rare genetic condition manifests as abnormal and extensive hair growth, sometimes covering the entire face and body. Unlike normal hair growth, this can involve thick, dark hair on areas not typically associated with it, giving individuals an appearance reminiscent of mythical beasts. While not harmful in itself, the condition can lead to significant psychological distress due to its dramatic physical impact and the social stigma often associated with it. The eerie similarity to folklore creatures and the visual transformation of the human form highlight how deeply unsettling and unexpected and profound biological deviation can be, blurring the lines between human and beast. Did you know there are regions on Earth where billions of cockroaches live underground? While individual cockroaches are creepy enough, the thought of vast, subterranean colonies housing billions of these resilient insects is truly unsettling. Certain species, particularly in tropical and subtropical regions, are burrowing cockroaches that spend their entire lives beneath the soil, feeding on decaying organic matter. They are an unseen, teeming mass, silently contributing to the ecosystem. The idea of such an immense, hidden population of these reviled creatures, constantly breeding and scuttling beneath our feet, largely outside of human awareness, adds a profound sense of scale to their creepiness. It's a silent, unseen world of chitinous bodies constantly moving and reproducing, just inches below the surface. Did you know some ancient mummies have been found with their hair and fingernails still intact? While popular belief often exaggerates post-mortem growth, the exceptional preservation seen in some mummies is genuinely fascinating and sometimes disturbing. When a body is mummified, either naturally, like in dry desert conditions or bogs, or artificially, through embalming, the processes of decomposition are severely inhibited. This can lead to the preservation of softer tissues, including hair and fingernails, which, along with skin, resist decay better than internal organs. The sight of a human being, thousands of years old, still retaining such personal details as their hairstyle or the length of their nails, creates an eerie sense of intimacy with the long dead, a tangible, almost unsettling link across millennia, making the ancient past feel eerily close. Did you know there are cases of people being struck by lightning and surviving, but with horrifying consequences? While surviving a lightning strike is itself a miracle, the aftermath can be devastating and often visually disturbing. Victims can suffer severe burns, neurological damage leading to chronic pain, memory loss, personality changes, and even the appearance of Lichtenberg figures, fractal, tree-like burn patterns on the skin that resemble tattoos. These eerie, temporary markings are formed by the electrical current traveling along the skin's surface. The thought of being instantly transformed, your body indelibly marked by nature's raw, destructive power, and living with profound, often debilitating, side effects, is a chilling reminder of the immense and unpredictable forces of the natural world and how they can leave a permanent, visible scar. Did you know there are types of mushrooms that can cause hallucinations if eaten? These are known as psilocybin mushrooms, or magic mushrooms, and they contain psychoactive compounds that alter perception, thought, and mood. While often associated with recreational use, the experience can be unpredictable and deeply unsettling, ranging from intense anxiety and paranoia to profound distortions of reality. Imagine consuming something seemingly innocuous from the forest floor and having your entire sensory experience warp and twist, seeing things that aren't there, or feeling a profound disconnect from reality. It's a reminder of nature's hidden chemical laboratories, capable of altering consciousness in dramatic ways, turning a simple foraging trip into a potential journey through a terrifying, self-created alternate reality. Did you know some people can smell the scent of death before a loved one passes away? This phenomenon, often reported by hospice workers or family members, is highly debated and largely anecdotal, but deeply unsettling. It's described as a distinct, often sweet and earthy, or sometimes metallic, odor that appears subtly in the air around a dying person, even when there's no apparent medical reason for it. While it could be linked to metabolic changes within the body as organs begin to shut down, the eerie precision of its appearance, often preceding death by only a few hours or days, gives it a premonitory quality. The idea that death might have its own distinct, detectable aroma, a silent, invisible herald of its approach, adds a profound and chilling layer to the final moments of life. Did you know there are lakes created from volcanic craters that are filled with potent acid? These are not your average serene lakes. They are often vibrant, unnaturally colored bodies of water, glowing with eerie greens, yellows, or reds, due to the high concentrations of sulfuric acid and other volcanic chemicals. Found in active volcanic regions, these crater lakes are essentially giant, naturally occurring vats of corrosive liquid, hot and constantly churning with dissolved minerals and gases. The thought of a beautiful, seemingly pristine lake being, in reality, a deadly, boiling pool of acid capable of dissolving anything that enters it, is a chilling reminder of the Earth's raw, untamed, and sometimes terrifying geological power. It's a landscape of alien beauty that harbors immense, silent danger. Did you know if you're alone in your house and hear a scratching sound in the attic, it could very well be an animal? While our minds might immediately jump to ghostly explanations, the reality of uninvited animal guests can be just as unsettling, if not more so. Squirrels, raccoons, mice, or even birds can find their way into attics, walls, or crawl spaces, especially in older homes. The sounds of their scurrying, gnawing, or scratching can be amplified through the house's structure, creating disquieting noises in the dead of night. The thought of unseen creatures silently inhabiting the spaces above or within your home, potentially causing damage, leaving droppings, or even dying unseen, adds a layer of mundane but persistent creepiness to your living environment, making every unexplained creak a potential sign of an unwanted tenant. Did you know there are species of sea snakes with extremely potent venom, but they very rarely bite humans? These slender, often beautifully patterned reptiles inhabit tropical and subtropical ocean waters. Many species possess neurotoxins that are far more potent than those of most land snakes, capable of causing paralysis and even death. However, they are generally not aggressive towards humans, and their fangs are often small, making it difficult for them to deliver a full envenomation. The unsettling part is the knowledge that such a deadly creature exists in the waters we swim in, perfectly capable of inflicting fatal harm, yet choosing not to. It's a subtle, almost polite form of terror, a lurking danger that mostly leaves us alone, but reminds us of the raw, untamed power hidden beneath the waves, often just a few meters away. Did you know some people are obsessed with the idea that they are being watched? This pervasive feeling of being under constant surveillance, even when alone, can range from mild paranoia to a debilitating psychological condition. It's often fueled by a combination of personal anxiety, social isolation, or in more severe cases, could be a symptom of a delusional disorder. The truly creepy aspect is the internal experience, the constant vigilance, the feeling of unseen eyes, the inability to ever truly relax because of the conviction that someone or something is always observing. It transforms the world into a vast, inescapable panopticon, turning every shadow and every quiet moment into a source of profound unease, stripping away any sense of privacy or security, even within one's own mind. Did you know there are forests where trees grow in unusual, distorted shapes, creating eerie, bizarre forms? These are often referred to as crooked forests or gnarly woods, where environmental factors like strong winds, soil conditions, or even mysterious, localized phenomena cause the trees to grow in dramatic, unnatural bends, twists, and curves. The resulting landscape can be profoundly unsettling. Rows of trees with trunks bent at sharp 90-degree angles, or branches forming grotesque, entangled silhouettes. It feels like stepping into a fairy tale forest gone wrong, a place where nature itself has been warped and distorted, creating a disorienting and somewhat menacing atmosphere. The uncanny shapes often evoke images of skeletal figures or contorted bodies, turning a natural environment into a haunting, living sculpture. Did you know some species of spiders can spin incredibly strong silk, powerful enough to catch even small birds? While most spider webs are delicate traps for insects, certain large orb weavers, particularly in tropical regions like the golden orb weaver, Nephila genus, produce silk that is astonishingly robust. Their webs are not only vast, spanning several meters, but also remarkably strong, sometimes capable of snaring small birds or bats that accidentally fly into them. The image of a bird, helplessly entangled in a sticky, silken trap, slowly being approached by a large, predatory spider, is truly unsettling. It elevates the spider from a mere insect hunter to a formidable, silent predator capable of ensnaring much larger, feathered prey, transforming a common fear into a chilling reality. Did you know if you're buried under an avalanche, you could die from suffocation or hypothermia? While the immediate image is often one of being crushed, the true horrors of an avalanche are more insidious. As tons of snow rapidly descend, it can compact around a victim with incredible force, making it impossible to move a single limb, or even to expand your chest to breathe. The snow quickly sets like concrete. Even if not crushed or suffocated by the initial impact, the extreme cold rapidly leads to hypothermia. The thought of being trapped in total darkness, unable to move, unable to breathe, as your body slowly succumbs to the biting cold, is a truly terrifying and helpless scenario. It's a silent, suffocating, icy tomb. Did you know there are villages completely abandoned, with everything left intact, as if the inhabitants simply vanished? These ghost villages, or deserted towns, can be found across the globe, often victims of economic collapse, natural disaster, or mysterious circumstances. Walking through such a place is an incredibly eerie experience. Homes stand with dishes still on the tables, clothes in wardrobes, and children's toys scattered on the floor, as if life was suddenly paused. The silence is profound, broken only by the wind, creating an unsettling atmosphere of absence and lingering presence. It triggers a deep sense of unease, leaving you to wonder about the sudden, unexplained departure of every living soul, making it feel as though you've stumbled upon a chilling, unsolved mystery. Did you know some people suffer from necrophobia, an intense and irrational fear of dead bodies? This phobia goes far beyond a normal discomfort or sadness associated with death. Individuals with necrophobia experience extreme anxiety, panic attacks, nausea, or dizziness at the mere thought or sight of a corpse, or even objects associated with death, like coffins or funeral homes. The idea of their own mortality or the physical state of a deceased person can be utterly debilitating. The unsettling part is the sheer intensity of the fear towards something inevitable and, for most, a natural part of life. It creates a profound mental barrier, transforming the deceased into an object of overwhelming terror, making even the simplest act of attending a funeral an agonizing ordeal. Did you know the universe is full of phenomena and mysteries that science still cannot explain, making us sometimes feel tiny and deeply unnerved? Beyond the tangible horrors of our world, there's the existential creepiness of the vast, unknown cosmos. From dark matter and dark energy that constitute most of the universe but remain invisible, to unexplained fast radio bursts from distant galaxies, and the ultimate fate of the universe itself, these concepts can be profoundly unsettling. The realization that our understanding is so limited, that there are fundamental forces and entities we can barely comprehend, places us in a position of humbling insignificance. It's a cosmic horror, a chilling reminder that no matter how much we learn, the universe holds secrets so grand and so alien that they can make us feel incredibly small, vulnerable, and deeply, existentially unnerving. Did you know that your own immune system can sometimes turn against your body, attacking healthy tissues and organs? This terrifying reality is the basis of autoimmune diseases, conditions where the body's natural defense mechanism, designed to fight off invaders like bacteria and viruses, mistakenly identifies its own cells as foreign threats. Imagine your internal security system, which is supposed to protect you, suddenly going rogue and launching an unprovoked assault on your vital components. Conditions like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, or multiple sclerosis are examples where the immune system systematically attacks joints, nerves, or organs. The unsettling part is the internal betrayal. Your own body, seemingly healthy one moment, can become its own worst enemy, initiating a silent, relentless war from within that can cause chronic pain, damage, and disability, turning your own biological defenses into a source of constant threat. Did you know there are recorded instances of people speaking in tongues during sleep, sometimes in languages they don't consciously know? This rare and unsettling phenomenon, often linked to sleepwalking or REM sleep behavior disorder, is a form of somniloquy, sleep talking, but taken to an extreme. While most sleep talking is gibberish, some individuals have been observed uttering coherent phrases or even entire sentences in languages entirely unfamiliar to them in their waking lives. Explanations range from residual memories of overheard conversations to more profound, unexplained neurological activity. The creepy aspect lies in the sudden, involuntary emergence of a distinct personality or voice, communicating in an unknown tongue from a person who is supposedly unconscious, suggesting a hidden, alien linguistic capacity within the sleeping mind that is both fascinating and profoundly disquieting. Did you know that some old dolls were made with glass eyes that used mercury, making them toxic? While these antique dolls, with their often eerily realistic glass eyes, are collectibles today, some were manufactured using rudimentary and dangerous techniques. In the past, mercury was sometimes used in the silvering process for glass eyes to give them a lifelike sheen. Over time, As these dolls age, the mercury can leak or vaporize, posing a potential health risk, particularly if the doll is damaged. The thought of an innocent children's toy, once beloved, slowly leaching a neurotoxin into its surroundings, turning a cherished object into a silent, potential source of harm, adds a chilling layer to its vintage charm. It's a hidden danger lurking within an object designed for play, a toxic legacy from a bygone era. Did you know that if you remove all light and sound from a person's environment, they can begin to hallucinate within minutes? This phenomenon is called sensory deprivation, and it demonstrates how dependent our brains are on constant external stimuli to maintain a coherent perception of reality. When all sensory input is removed, in a dark, soundproof chamber or isolation tank, the brain, deprived of its usual data streams, starts to create its own. Individuals can experience vivid visual hallucinations, flashing lights, patterns, complex scenes, auditory hallucinations, voices, music, strange sounds, or even tactile sensations. The chilling part is the rapid onset of a self-generated alternate reality, proving that our minds, when left to their own devices in total void, can conjure terrifying and uncontrollable perceptions, revealing the fragile boundary between perception and delusion. Did you know there are ghost towns where every single item, from furniture to personal belongings, was left behind as if the inhabitants vanished in an instant? Unlike typical abandoned towns that slowly decay, these places seem frozen in time, preserving an eerie snapshot of life interrupted. Often, this is due to rapid, unforeseen events like natural disasters, volcanic eruptions, floods, or sudden resource depletion that forced immediate evacuation, or even, in rare cases, unexplained mass disappearances in folklore. Walking through such a town, seeing dust-covered plates on dining tables, half-finished projects in workshops, or children's toys scattered on the floor, creates a profound sense of unease. It's a tangible puzzle of absence, a chilling reminder of how fragile human presence can be, and how quickly entire communities can simply cease to be, leaving behind only their silent, untouched ghosts. Did you know that in ancient times, some civilizations believed the moon was a massive, detached eyeball of a primordial deity, constantly watching over humanity? While scientific understanding has long since dispelled such myths, the ancient belief imbues our nearest celestial neighbor with a profoundly unsettling quality. Imagine looking up at the night sky, not seeing a lifeless rock, but a giant, unblinking eye, cold and distant, observing your every move from the cosmic dark. This perception would transform the moon from a romantic beacon to an omniscient, perhaps even judgmental, sentinel. It's a reminder of how deeply our fears and mythologies can shape our perception of the natural world, turning a familiar celestial body into a source of constant, unseen surveillance and existential unease. Did you know there are types of worms that can live inside the human eye? While certainly rare and horrifying, certain parasitic worms, particularly from the Loa Loa, African eyeworm, or Onchocerca volvulus, river blindness, families, can indeed infest the human eye. The adult Loa Loa worm, for instance, can migrate through the subcutaneous tissues, occasionally crossing the conjunctiva of the eye, where it can be seen moving under the surface. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing a living worm wriggling across the white of your own eye. Beyond the visual horror, these parasites can cause inflammation, itching, and in some cases, severe vision impairment or blindness. It's a truly visceral and disturbing example of an internal biological invasion, turning one of our most sensitive organs into a temporary home for a living, visible parasite. Did you know that the sound of chimes or bells heard in the wilderness, when no obvious source is present, was once interpreted as a sign of restless spirits or fey folk? Before modern explanations like wind chimes or distant church bells, mysterious metallic ringing sounds in remote, isolated areas would often trigger primal fears. In various European folklores, such sounds were sometimes associated with the passing of the dead or the presence of mischievous and sometimes malevolent supernatural beings like fairies or gnomes who might lure travelers astray. The unsettling aspect is the uncanny nature of the sound, metallic, musical, yet disembodied and without a clear origin in a wild, unpopulated landscape. It taps into the ancient fear of the unknown, turning a simple acoustic anomaly into a chilling omen of an unseen world at play. Did you know that some medical conditions can cause your breath to smell like decaying flesh? This disturbing symptom, known as Fater hepaticus or breath of the dead, is often associated with severe liver disease, hepatic failure. When the liver is unable to properly filter toxins from the blood, certain volatile organic compounds, like dimethyl sulfide, build up and are expelled through the lungs. The result is a distinctively sweet, musty, and sometimes putrid odor that can indeed resemble the smell of decomposing matter. The horrifying realization for both the patient and those around them is that their very breath carries the grim scent of internal decay, a silent, sickening indicator of profound organ failure. It's a truly visceral and deeply unsettling manifestation of internal illness. Did you know that the deepest parts of the ocean are so dark and alien that creatures living there have evolved into bizarre, monstrous forms? The abyssal and hadal zones are realms of perpetual darkness, crushing pressure, and extreme cold, where sunlight never reaches. Life here has adapted in extraordinary and often terrifying ways. Fish with bioluminescent lures hanging from their heads to attract prey in the blackness, creatures with transparent skin, enormous mouths filled with needle-sharp teeth, or bodies that can withstand unfathomable pressure. Many of these species look like something from a nightmare, utterly unlike anything found on the surface. The thought that such grotesque and alien forms of life exist on our own planet, silently moving through an environment that is more alien than outer space, is a profoundly creepy and humbling realization about the boundless, dark creativity of evolution. Did you know that some people suffer from Capgras syndrome, a delusional misidentification syndrome where they believe a close family member or friend has been replaced by an identical imposter? Imagine looking at your spouse, your child, or your parent and recognizing every physical feature, every mannerism, yet being absolutely convinced that they are not the real person, but rather a cunning replica. This unsettling disorder is often associated with brain injury or neurological conditions, where the emotional connection to familiar faces is severed, even while visual recognition remains intact. The profound psychological torment of this delusion is immense, turning loved ones into uncanny, terrifying fakes, shattering the very foundation of trust and familiarity. It highlights the incredibly fragile nature of our perception of reality and personal identity, where even the most intimate bonds can be twisted into a source of profound, isolating paranoia. Did you know there are historical accounts of graveyard shifts, where people would sit beside freshly dug graves at night to deter grave robbers? In times when medical research, particularly anatomy, was burgeoning and legitimate cadavers were scarce, the illicit trade of body snatching flourished. Grave robbers would exhume recently buried bodies to sell them to doctors and medical schools. To combat this gruesome practice, families or hired guards would spend nights sitting vigil at the graveside, sometimes armed, listening for any suspicious sounds. The thought of spending hours in the cold, dark silence of a cemetery, listening for the telltale sounds of shovels disturbing a fresh grave, while contemplating the desecration of a loved one's remains, is a chilling testament to the macabre realities of a bygone era and the lengths people went to protect the sanctity of their dead. Did you know that some species of cicadas can be infected by a fungus that causes their abdomens to fall off, yet they continue to mate and spread the fungus? This horrifying example of parasitic manipulation is as gruesome as it is fascinating. The Massospora cicadina fungus infects cicadas, causing their abdomen to largely fall off, revealing a chalky, fungal plug. Despite this horrific mutilation, the cicadas remain alive and active, often with a heightened sex drive. They continue to fly, sing, and attempt to mate, unknowingly shedding fungal spores onto healthy cicadas during their interactions. The image of these zombie cicadas literally falling apart, while driven by an irresistible urge to spread their own demise, is a deeply unsettling display of biological puppetry, turning a natural life cycle into a vector for a body-consuming pathogen. Did you know that the average lifespan of a dust mite is about 2 to 3 months, and during that time, it produces roughly 200 times its own weight in waste? While dust mites themselves are microscopic, Their sheer numbers and continuous output are what make this fact creepy. These tiny arachnids thrive in our homes, feeding on dead skin flakes, particularly in mattresses, pillows, and carpets. Every time you lie down, thousands, if not millions, of these invisible creatures are crawling through your bedding, consuming your dead skin cells, and leaving behind their fecal pellets. It's a constant, unseen process of consumption and excretion happening within your most intimate living spaces, making your bed a bustling ecosystem of microscopic life and their waste products. The thought of sharing your sleeping quarters with such an active, unseen population can be quite unsettling. Did you know there are abandoned asylums and mental hospitals that are now considered some of the most haunted places on Earth? These imposing, often Gothic structures once housed thousands of patients suffering from various mental illnesses, many of whom endured harsh treatments, isolation, and neglect. After their closure, these vast, empty buildings retain a palpable sense of suffering and despair. Reports from urban explorers and paranormal investigators often include disembodied screams, whispers, apparitions of former patients or staff, unexplained cold spots, and a pervasive feeling of sorrow or dread. The sheer weight of human pain and unresolved stories seems to cling to the very walls, making these forgotten institutions deeply unsettling places where the past feels chillingly present, echoing with the lingering echoes of tormented souls. Did you know that some people suffer from phantom limb pain, where they feel excruciating pain in a limb that has been amputated? This deeply unsettling neurological phenomenon occurs when nerve endings in the stump of the amputated limb continue to send pain signals to the brain, even though the limb itself is gone. Patients describe feeling burning, stabbing, crushing, or cramping sensations in a part of their body that no longer physically exists. The creepy aspect is the brain's stubborn persistence in perceiving a missing body part as real and capable of feeling pain, creating a bizarre and tormenting disconnect between physical reality and sensory perception. It highlights the complex and often mysterious workings of the nervous system, which can continue to generate vivid and agonizing sensations from an absent limb, turning a void into a source of real agony. Did you know that there are forests where the trees grow in strange, almost sentient-like patterns, creating a feeling of being watched? Beyond simply crooked trees, some forests have tree formations that mimic eyes, faces, or looming figures, often due to genetic mutations, environmental stress, or even ancient practices like coppicing or pollarding. The way branches intertwine or bark forms patterns can trick the mind into perceiving features where there are none. Walking through such a forest can evoke a profound sense of unease, as if the very woods are alive and observing you. It transforms a natural landscape into something deeply uncanny, turning innocent trees into silent, watchful entities, making you feel perpetually scrutinized by the silent, judging eyes of the forest itself. Did you know that some species of barnacles are parasitic and can take over the bodies of crabs, controlling their minds and reproductive systems? This is a chilling example of biological horror. The Saculina barnacle, for instance, enters a crab's body, casts off its own shell, and then grows root-like tendrils throughout the crab's internal organs, absorbing nutrients. It effectively sterilizes the crab and then manipulates its behavior, forcing it to care for the barnacle's eggs as if they were its own. Even male crabs are feminized and begin to perform female crab behaviors to nurture the parasite's offspring. The crab becomes a living, reproducing, zombie-like host. It will entirely subservient to the barnacle. It's a truly disturbing display of parasitic control, turning a creature into a mindless puppet for another species' propagation. Did you know there are recorded instances of mass hysteria where symptoms like uncontrollable shaking, fainting, or hallucinations spread rapidly through a group of people without any identifiable physical cause? This phenomenon, also known as mass psychogenic illness, demonstrates the powerful and unsettling influence of the mind over the body, particularly in social settings. Imagine being in a school or factory where one person suddenly develops strange symptoms, and within minutes or hours, dozens or hundreds of others begin to experience the exact same thing, despite no actual pathogen or toxic substance being present. It highlights the terrifying fragility of collective reality and the ease with which fear, anxiety, and suggestion can manifest physically, turning a group of healthy individuals into a seemingly afflicted, unexplainable mass, mirroring symptoms as if possessed by an unseen force. Did you know that the deepest parts of the ocean are so dark and vast that the majority of it remains unexplored, holding unknown monstrous creatures and secrets? While we've touched upon the alien nature of deep-sea creatures, the true horror lies in the sheer scale of the unknown. More than 80% of our oceans remain unmapped and unobserved. This means that beneath the familiar surface, there are untold numbers of species yet to be discovered, some undoubtedly more bizarre and terrifying than anything we can imagine, evolving in an environment that is more alien than the surface of Mars. The thought of colossal, ancient beings lurking in the crushing darkness, far beyond human reach or understanding, emphasizes our minuscule presence on this planet and the boundless, terrifying mysteries that lie beneath the waves, just waiting to be stumbled upon. Did you know that your own body can continue to produce hair and nails for a short period after death, giving the macabre illusion of growth? While we've previously touched on this, to delve deeper into its creepy implications, this isn't true growth, which requires metabolic activity. Instead, it's a visual trick. After death, the skin and other soft tissues surrounding the nails and hair follicles begin to dehydrate and retract. This recession of the skin exposes more of the nail plate and hair shaft that was previously embedded, making them appear longer than they were at the moment of death. The disturbing effect for those viewing a deceased loved one in an open casket is the subtle, yet perceptible, change in appearance. A seemingly growing beard or lengthening fingernails, adding an unsettling, almost uncanny, vitality to what is otherwise a still and lifeless form. It's a final, unsettling optical illusion from the body itself. Did you know that some viruses can lie dormant in your body for decades, only to reactivate years later and cause severe illness? This insidious characteristic is a chilling reminder of the persistent threats that can linger within our own biology. Viruses like herpes simplex, cold sores, varicella zoster, chickenpox, which can reactivate as shingles, and even some forms of human papillomavirus, HPV, integrate their genetic material into your cells. For years, they remain silent, undetected, waiting. Then, triggered by stress, weakened immunity, or other unknown factors, they can spring back to life, causing painful outbreaks or, in more severe cases, leading to chronic conditions or even cancer. The thought that a microscopic enemy could be silently residing within your very cells, a ticking biological time bomb, highlights a pervasive, unseen vulnerability, making your own body a potential host for future torment. Did you know there are abandoned mining towns across the world that are filled with deadly gases, making them perpetual death traps? These aren't just empty structures. The danger lies beneath the surface and within the very air. Over time, sealed off or forgotten mine shafts can accumulate toxic gases like methane, carbon monoxide, or hydrogen sulfide, byproducts of natural geological processes or decaying organic matter. These gases are often odorless and colorless, making them undetectable without specialized equipment. The eerie silence of such a town belies the invisible killer permeating its atmosphere. The thought of walking into a seemingly preserved historical site, only to be overcome by an invisible cloud of poison, turning a visit to the past into an instant, silent demise, is a profoundly chilling scenario, a hidden environmental horror. Did you know that some people experience prosopagnosia, a neurological condition where they are unable to recognize faces, even those of close family and friends? Often referred to as face blindness, this condition makes the world a disorienting and unsettling place. Imagine looking at your child or spouse and seeing only a generic face, devoid of specific identity. While you might recognize them by their voice, gait, or clothing, their face remains a blank slate. The deeply creepy aspect is the complete breakdown of social recognition, turning every human interaction into a series of deductions rather than instant recognition. It's an isolating and profoundly alienating experience, where the most fundamental aspect of human connection, recognizing who someone is, becomes impossible, making even the most familiar people feel like strangers. Did you know there are dolls from the Victorian era that were made with real human teeth? While a less common practice than using human hair, some antique dolls, particularly those aiming for hyperrealism or those used for display rather than play, occasionally incorporated human teeth. These might have been salvaged from dental extractions or, in more macabre instances, taken from deceased individuals. The thought of a child's toy, meant for comfort and companionship, having a mouth filled with actual human teeth, is intensely unsettling. It blurs the line between object and body part, giving the doll an unsettling, almost grotesque, lifelike quality. It's a chilling reminder of different historical sensibilities and how objects from the past can carry unexpectedly morbid and deeply creepy secrets within them. Did you know that the average human body contains enough sulfur to kill all the fleas on an average dog? While this might sound like a fact for a chemistry class, the thought of the constituent elements within our bodies having such potent, albeit highly concentrated, toxic potential is subtly creepy. Sulfur is a vital element found in amino acids and proteins, essential for life. However, in its raw or highly concentrated forms, it can be quite noxious. The implication that our very composition, the building blocks of our existence, could, in a different form or concentration, be a lethal agent, is a strange thought. It highlights the delicate balance of biological chemistry within us, where life-sustaining elements are separated by a fine line from harmful substances, turning a benign component of our being into a potential internal poison. Did you know there are houses built on old burial grounds, and some residents report unsettling paranormal activity as a result? This is a common trope in horror, but it stems from a pervasive belief in various cultures about disturbing the resting places of the dead. When homes are built over unmarked graves, forgotten cemeteries, or ancient burial sites, some residents report experiencing unexplained cold spots, strange noises, objects moving on their own, or even full-bodied apparitions. The idea is that the land itself retains the energy or spirits of those buried beneath, and disturbing it leads to unforeseen and terrifying consequences. It's a chilling thought that the very ground beneath your home, meant to be a foundation of security, could be a source of unrest and a portal for the spectral, turning your sanctuary into a haunted domain. Did you know that some species of fish have transparent heads, allowing you to see their brains and internal organs? The barrel-eye fish, Macropina microstoma, is a prime example of this bizarre adaptation to life in the deep sea. Its head is covered by a clear, fluid-filled dome, through which its upward-pointing, tubular eyes are visible. The unsettling part is the complete visibility of its internal structures. You can literally see its brain and optic nerves. It's a creature that seems to defy the usual boundaries of biological form, presenting its most vital organs for direct observation. This transparency, while an evolutionary advantage in its dark habitat, makes it appear alien and fragile, transforming a living animal into a chilling, anatomical display, a biological X-ray swimming freely in the abyss. Did you know that some people experience sleepwalking in such a profound state that they perform complex and often dangerous actions, like preparing food or even leaving the house, entirely unaware? While common sleepwalking usually involves simple movements, complex sleep behaviors are far more unsettling. Individuals might unconsciously get dressed, walk out of their homes, drive a car, or even engage in conversations that seem perfectly normal to an outsider, but about which they have no memory upon waking. The creepy aspect is the complete dissociation of the conscious mind from the body's actions, suggesting a subconscious self that can operate autonomously and engage in potentially life-threatening behaviors while the true self is deeply asleep. It's a frightening loss of control, where your own body becomes an unwitting agent, enacting a hidden, unconscious script. Did you know that the sound of creaking wood in an old house at night is often caused by the house settling and expanding/contracting with temperature changes rather than ghosts? While intellectually reassuring, this scientific explanation doesn't always lessen the creepy factor. Old houses, made of wood, are constantly shifting and groaning as the temperature drops in the evening, causing the wood to contract and rub against itself. These sounds can manifest as footsteps in empty hallways, knocks on walls, or ominous groans from the structure itself. The unsettling part is how easily our minds interpret these mundane, physical noises as signs of an unseen presence. It turns the very fabric of your home into a source of psychological unease, making you question every rustle and creak, even when you know it's just the house breathing. Did you know that some serial killers have been known to collect trophies from their victims, blurring the line between human remains and macabre souvenirs? This profoundly disturbing practice reveals a chilling aspect of psychopathy. These trophies can range from personal items like jewelry or clothing to more gruesome mementos such as body parts, bones, or even preserved organs. The act of taking a trophy isn't just about remembrance. It's often about power, control, and reliving the crime, turning a human being into an object of possession and morbid fascination. The thought that a part of a person could be retained and displayed by their killer, serving as a perverse symbol of their darkest acts, is intensely unsettling. It's a stark, horrifying glimpse into the depths of human depravity and the desecration of the human form long after life has left it. Did you know there are certain ancient rituals where people would commune with the dead by sleeping on their graves? This practice, known as incubation or grave sleeping, was found in various ancient cultures, particularly Greek and Roman. Believers would lie down on or near a tomb, hoping to receive messages, prophecies, or healing from the spirits of the deceased, often in a dream state. The eerie aspect is the deliberate act of seeking out communion with the dead, placing oneself in the most intimate proximity to a corpse, inviting the spectral into one's consciousness. It reflects a worldview where the veil between the living and the dead was thin, and where the grave was not just a final resting place, but a potential portal for communication, turning sleep into a deliberate act of ghostly encounter. Did you know that some species of fungi can grow on dead insects and appear to make them dance through their movements? This is a visually striking and unsettling phenomenon observed with certain entomopathogenic fungi. After infecting and killing an insect, the fungus often manipulates the insect's body, causing it to position itself in a way that optimizes spore dispersal. As the fungus consumes the insect from within and then erupts from its carcass, the dead insect's body might appear to twitch, contort, or even dance in response to the fungal growth and environmental changes. The macabre spectacle of a deceased creature seemingly reanimating and moving, controlled entirely by a parasitic organism, blurs the line between life and death, turning a lifeless shell into a puppet for fungal propagation. A truly ghoulish ballet choreographed by nature. Did you know that if you leave your windows open at night, tiny insects and dust particles can easily float in and settle on your skin and in your hair? While enjoying a fresh breeze is lovely, the unseen reality of what enters your personal space can be subtly creepy. Even with screens, microscopic particles, pollen, and tiny insects like gnats or midges can drift indoors on air currents. As you sleep, these unseen visitors can land on your exposed skin, get tangled in your hair, or settle on your bedding. The thought of being constantly bombarded by and becoming a resting place for airborne debris and tiny, uninvited creatures, even within the supposed sanctuary of your home, highlights a pervasive, silent infiltration from the outside world, a constant, unnoticed cohabitation with the tiny inhabitants of the night air. Did you know there are abandoned prisons that are said to be haunted by the tormented spirits of former inmates and guards? These formidable, often crumbling structures carry a heavy aura of despair, violence, and confinement. Places like Alcatraz, Eastern State Penitentiary, or the Ohio State Reformatory are notorious for countless reports of disembodied whispers, clanging cell doors, full-bodied apparitions, sudden temperature drops, and a pervasive sense of sadness or anger. The sheer suffering endured within their walls, the loss of freedom, and often the violent ends met by those incarcerated, seem to have left an indelible energetic imprint. Visiting or even contemplating these places evokes a profound sense of unease, as if the pain of the past clings to the very air, turning a historical landmark into a chilling testament to human suffering and restless spirits. Did you know that your own body heat can be detected by thermal cameras even in complete darkness, making you constantly visible to certain forms of technology? While reassuring in a search and rescue scenario, the thought that your most personal biological signature, your warmth, is constantly broadcast and perceivable by unseen eyes is subtly creepy. Thermal imaging cameras translate heat into visible light, rendering objects based on their temperature. This means that even if you are perfectly hidden in a pitch-black room, a thermal camera can instantly pick up your body's heat signature, revealing your presence. It's a technological form of involuntary transparency, turning your very existence into a beacon for anyone equipped with the right tools, stripping away the comfort of darkness and the illusion of being truly unseen. Did you know there are deep-sea creatures that appear to be made of transparent or gelatinous material, revealing their internal organs? These are often found in the abyssal plains, thousands of meters deep, where survival requires unique adaptations. Creatures like the glass squid, certain sea cucumbers, or some types of jellyfish have evolved translucent or completely transparent bodies, often as a form of camouflage in the perpetual darkness. The unsettling aspect is the uncanny visibility of their internal workings. You can see their digestive tracts, nervous systems, or other organs directly through their skin. It transforms a living animal into a biological diagram, a walking or swimming dissection. This extreme transparency creates a bizarre, alien aesthetic, turning life into a fragile, ephemeral, and chillingly exposed form. Did you know that some types of worms can survive being cut into multiple pieces, with each piece regenerating into a new worm? The flatworm Digesia, or planarian, is a prime example of this astounding regenerative capability. If you cut a planarian into several segments, each piece containing a portion of its central nervous system will grow into a complete, genetically identical individual. This ability to essentially multiply through mutilation is both fascinating and deeply unsettling. The idea that a living organism can be seemingly destroyed, only for each fragment to independently reanimate and reform, defies our conventional understanding of life and death. It's a biological hydra that turns destruction into propagation, making a single creature a potentially infinite source of new, identical beings. Did you know that some people suffer from clinical lycanthropy, a rare psychiatric syndrome where they believe they can transform into an animal, often a wolf? Unlike delusions of simply being an animal, like boanthropy, those with lycanthropy believe in a physical, albeit psychological, transformation. They may exhibit animalistic behaviors such as howling, growling, crawling on all fours, or craving raw meat, fully convinced of their changing form, especially during certain phases of the moon. The profound disconnect from human identity and the terrifying conviction of becoming a beast are deeply disturbing. It highlights the mind's capacity for creating terrifying internal realities, turning a person's own body and psyche into a battleground between human and animal, embodying a primal fear of losing one's humanity. Did you know there are places on Earth where the magnetic field is so erratic that compasses don't work properly, leading to navigation anomalies? These magnetic anomalies can occur due to unusual geological formations rich in magnetic minerals or unique crustal structures. Areas like the Bermuda Triangle or certain remote parts of the Arctic are infamous for these compass deviations. The unsettling aspect is the complete breakdown of reliable navigation in these zones. Imagine relying on a compass only for its needle to spin wildly, pointing in random directions, or consistently indicating the wrong way. It transforms a fundamental tool for orientation into a source of profound disorientation and fear, making vast, uninhabited areas feel even more isolated and mysterious, as if the very Earth itself is playing tricks, leading unsuspecting travelers into danger. Did you know that some trees can absorb the DNA of other organisms from the soil, including humans? While still a burgeoning field of research, evidence suggests that plants can, to some extent, take up DNA fragments from their environment, particularly from decaying organic matter in the soil. Imagine a large, ancient tree whose roots spread deep and wide, absorbing not just water and nutrients, but also the microscopic remnants of countless lives that have decomposed around it over centuries. Animals, insects, and even human remains from old burial grounds or accidents. The unsettling implication is that these majestic, seemingly passive giants could be silent, living archives, containing tiny fragments of the genetic code of all that has perished beneath their shadow, blurring the lines between plant and animal, and turning a natural landscape into a vast, unintentional biological library of the dead. Did you know that the average human stomach contains enough acid to dissolve a razor blade? While it's certainly not advisable to test this, the sheer corrosive power of our gastric acid is a testament to the incredible and somewhat terrifying chemistry happening within our bodies. Hydrochloric acid in the stomach, with a pH usually between 1.5 and 3.5, is designed to break down tough foods and kill bacteria. While a razor blade would eventually dissolve, the process would be slow, and the blade could cause significant internal damage first. Nevertheless, the underlying fact that our own digestive system harbors such a potent, destructive liquid capable of dissolving metal is a subtly creepy reminder of the harsh, almost industrial processes that constantly occur inside us, turning our very insides into a hazardous environment. Did you know there are recorded instances of people suffering from Cotard's delusion or walking corpse syndrome, believing they are dead, putrefying, or don't exist? While I briefly mentioned this earlier, to elaborate on its chilling reality, this profound and disturbing psychiatric condition causes individuals to genuinely believe that they are no longer alive, that their organs are decaying, or that they have lost blood, internal organs, or even their very soul. Some may refuse to eat, believing they don't need food, as they are already dead. They might claim to smell their own rotting flesh or see worms crawling on them, despite being perfectly healthy. The terrifying aspect is the absolute conviction of their own non-existence or demise, trapping them in a solitary, living hell where their own body becomes a source of morbid dread and terrifying unreality. Did you know some cemeteries are overflowing with graves, with bodies buried on top of or next to existing ones, due to lack of space? In older, densely populated cities or historical burial grounds, space for new interments becomes scarce. This leads to practices like stacking coffins, where new burials occur directly above older ones, sometimes only a few feet apart vertically, or cramming new graves into every conceivable gap. The thought of a sacred resting place becoming so crowded that the deceased are literally layered upon each other, their eternal rest disrupted by the constant turnover of new arrivals, is subtly unsettling. It strips away the dignity of an individual plot, turning the ground into a densely packed, multi-layered repository of human remains, a grim testament to the finite space and endless cycle of mortality. Did you know that some species of moths have evolved to mimic the appearance of spiders to deter predators? This evolutionary trick is a fascinating example of deceptive mimicry, turning an otherwise harmless insect into something terrifying. Certain moths have developed wing patterns and even body shapes that, when viewed by a predator, closely resemble a spider, complete with false legs or eyes. The creepy factor comes from the unexpected transformation. An innocent-looking moth, typically associated with light and harmless fluttering, suddenly reveals a hidden, arachnid-like visage. It's a subtle deception designed to exploit a predator's ingrained fear of spiders, turning a potential meal into a visual threat, making you question the true nature of seemingly benign creatures in the natural world. Did you know that some people experience exploding head syndrome, a sleep disorder where they hear loud, sudden noises in their head as they fall asleep or wake up? This isn't a metaphor. Individuals genuinely perceive extremely loud, often jarring sounds like a bomb exploding, a gunshot, a loud clang, or a crashing wave, all originating from within their own head. The sounds are not external but purely auditory hallucinations. While physically harmless, the suddenness and intensity of the noise can be terrifying, causing immense anxiety, fear, and even panic. The unsettling aspect is the mind's ability to spontaneously generate such a violent and disruptive auditory event, blurring the lines between sleep and wakefulness with a terrifying, self-created internal cacophony. Did you know there are ghosts of animals reported in various haunted locations? While human ghosts are commonly depicted, accounts of spectral animals, phantom dogs, cats, horses, or even livestock are also prevalent in folklore and paranormal investigations. These range from fleeting glimpses of shadowy forms to disembodied barks, meows, or hoofbeats, often associated with places where animals lived or died tragically. The thought of loyal pets or working animals lingering as spirits, perhaps attached to their former owners or properties, adds a unique and poignant layer of creepiness. It extends the concept of a restless spirit beyond humanity, suggesting that the energetic imprints of our animal companions can also persist, creating an unsettling echo of life in places where only silence should remain. Did you know that some caves contain massive colonies of bats that fill the air with their droppings and the distinct, overpowering smell of ammonia? While bats are fascinating creatures, entering a cave inhabited by millions of them can be an overwhelmingly creepy experience. The floor is often covered in deep layers of guano, bat droppings, creating a rich, potent ecosystem of insects and bacteria, and filling the air with a pungent, acrid ammonia smell that can be difficult to breathe. Above, the ceiling teems with countless clinging bodies, and their collective squeaks and wing beats create a constant, eerie murmur. The sheer scale of life, death, and decay in such a confined, dark space, coupled with the oppressive sensory overload, can be deeply unsettling, transforming a natural wonder into a living, breathing, and smelling horror. Did you know that some medical professionals have reported instances of cadaveric spasm, where a corpse's muscles spontaneously contract and grip an object? Also known as instantaneous rigor, this extremely rare phenomenon occurs at the moment of death, usually in violent or stressful circumstances. Unlike regular rigor mortis, which sets in hours later, cadaveric spasm causes muscles to stiffen immediately and powerfully, effectively freezing the body in the position it was in at the time of death. The most unsettling reports involve a deceased individual's hand being found gripping a weapon, an item, or even part of their own body with impossible strength. It's a truly macabre display, making the dead appear to be holding on to life, or a final, desperate act, blurring the boundary between living and lifeless. Did you know that the very air you breathe contains microscopic particles of dust that are made up of tiny fragments of rocks, soil, pollen, and even meteorites? While we typically think of air as mostly nitrogen and oxygen, it's also a constant, invisible soup of countless tiny solid particles, both organic and inorganic. Every breath you take draws in these fragments, which can include microscopic shards of minerals from ancient rocks, pollen from distant plants, and even minuscule bits of cosmic dust that have drifted down from outer space. The unsettling aspect is the sheer, overwhelming quantity and diverse origin of these unseen particles. It's a constant, involuntary intake of a microscopic geological and even astronomical record, blurring the boundary between your internal body and the vast, particulate-filled world around you. Did you know that some viruses can jump from animals to humans, causing devastating and often novel diseases? This phenomenon, known as zoonotic spillover, is a terrifying reminder of the interconnectedness of all life and the unpredictable nature of pathogens. Viruses like Ebola, SARS, MERS, and most recently, COVID-19, originated in animal populations before mutating and adapting to infect humans. The unsettling part is the potential for a completely new, highly virulent disease to emerge from the wild, bypassing our existing immunities and medical knowledge. It's a constant, unseen threat lurking in ecosystems globally, turning the natural world into a potential source of unforeseen plagues that can rapidly spread across the globe, bringing fear, illness, and death on a massive scale, reminding us of our fundamental biological vulnerability. Did you know that if you're out at sea, a rogue wave can appear seemingly out of nowhere, capable of capsizing large ships? These are not normal storm waves. Rogue waves are extreme, unpredictable ocean surface waves that are far larger than the surrounding waves, often appearing as walls of water. They can reach heights of 30 meters, 100 feet, or more. The terrifying aspect is their sudden, unexpected appearance in calm or moderately rough seas, giving ships little to no time to prepare. The thought of being on a massive vessel, confidently navigating the open ocean, only for an enormous, towering wall of water to suddenly rise from the depths, utterly overwhelming the ship in an instant. is a profound and primal fear. It transforms the vast, open ocean from a navigable pathway into a realm of unpredictable, monstrous, and deadly forces. Did you know that some people suffer from somatoparaphrenia, a delusion where they deny ownership of one of their own limbs, believing it belongs to someone else? This incredibly bizarre neurological condition often affects individuals with brain damage, particularly to the right parietal lobe. Imagine waking up and genuinely believing that your arm or leg, which is clearly attached to your body and moves when you think about it, is actually someone else's limb that has been attached to you, or is merely a foreign object. This profound disconnect from one's own physical self is deeply unsettling. It highlights the incredibly fragile nature of our body image and self-perception, where the brain can construct a reality so fundamentally at odds with physical truth, turning a part of one's own body into an alien, disturbing presence. Did you know that there are abandoned mental asylums where patients were subjected to lobotomies and electroshock therapy? While I've mentioned abandoned asylums, the specific history of certain procedures adds an even darker layer. Many institutions, particularly in the mid-20th century, used methods now considered barbaric, aimed at curing mental illness. Walking through the decaying halls of such a place, seeing rusted straitjackets, dilapidated hydrotherapy tubs, or the remnants of electroshock equipment, evokes a profound sense of the human suffering that occurred within. The lingering atmosphere of fear, pain, and desperation, combined with the knowledge of such invasive and often ineffective treatments, makes these sites incredibly chilling. It's a somber reminder of a dark chapter in medical history, where attempts at healing often became sources of unimaginable torment, leaving a palpable, haunting legacy. Did you know that a person's body can twitch and spasm for several minutes after being declared clinically dead? This unsettling phenomenon, sometimes observed by medical personnel, is known as myoclonus or cadaveric spasm, though distinct from the instantaneous rigor. Even after the heart has stopped and breathing has ceased, residual electrical activity in the nervous system can cause muscles to contract involuntarily. These post-mortem movements can include jerking limbs, finger twitches, or even slight movements of the torso. For observers, especially those unfamiliar with these physiological post-mortem effects, seeing a deceased body suddenly move can be incredibly disturbing, fostering thoughts of reanimation or a lingering consciousness. It's a stark and eerie reminder of the body's complex biological processes, which can continue to manifest in unsettling ways even after life has definitively ended. Did you know that the sound of wind whispering through empty spaces in an old building can create a chilling, almost vocal effect? This phenomenon is often misinterpreted as ghostly whispers or disembodied voices, especially in unoccupied or derelict structures. As wind flows through cracks, broken windows, or empty chimneys, it can create resonant frequencies and turbulent airflows that produce a wide range of haunting sounds, from faint sighs and mournful moans to eerie whistling and even seemingly coherent murmurs. The unsettling aspect lies in how easily our brains, predisposed to detect human voices, can interpret these natural acoustic phenomena as intentional communication from unseen entities. It transforms the very fabric of a silent, abandoned building into a source of psychological dread, making it feel like the structure itself is alive and whispering secrets from the past. Did you know that some ancient bog bodies have been found almost perfectly preserved, with skin, hair, and internal organs intact after thousands of years? Unlike typical decomposition, the unique conditions of peat bogs, highly acidic water, low oxygen levels, and cold temperatures create a natural pickling effect. This prevents the normal decay processes, leading to astonishing preservation. The creepy factor is the almost uncanny lifelikeness of these ancient remains. Imagine unearthing a person who died thousands of years ago, their skin still leathery, their hair and fingernails present, sometimes even their facial expressions discernible. It's a chilling, direct link to the distant past, turning a burial into a form of accidental, eternal stasis, making the dead appear to be merely sleeping, frozen in a timeless, dark embrace. Did you know that there are certain deep-sea anglerfish where the tiny male permanently fuses with the much larger female, becoming a parasitic mate? This truly bizarre and unsettling reproductive strategy is a testament to the extreme conditions of the deep ocean. In the vast, dark abyss, finding a mate is incredibly difficult. To ensure reproduction, the male anglerfish, which is much smaller, bites onto the female. Over time, their tissues fuse, their bloodstreams connect, and the male effectively degenerates, becoming a permanent, parasitic appendage providing sperm whenever needed. The male's eyes and internal organs atrophy, and he becomes nothing more than a living sperm bank. The image of a female carrying one or more tiny, fused, half-dissolved males on her body is profoundly creepy, turning reproduction into a macabre act of biological absorption. Did you know that the sound of your own heartbeat can be incredibly loud and disorienting if you focus on it in absolute silence? While normally a reassuring sign of life, in the absence of all other sensory input, the rhythmic thumping of your heart can become overwhelmingly prominent. In a completely quiet environment, free from external distractions, the internal sounds of your body, your pulse, the rush of blood in your ears, even the faint gurgle of your digestive system, become amplified. The constant, visceral rhythm can feel alien and intrusive, turning the very beat of life into a strange, booming presence within your own head. It's a reminder of the hidden biological symphony constantly playing within us, which, when revealed in silence, can be strangely unsettling and a little claustrophobic. Did you know that there are cults that practice extreme forms of self-mutilation or body modification as part of their rituals? While body modification exists in many cultures, some cults push these practices to terrifying extremes, often involving severe and irreversible alterations that cause immense pain or disfigurement. These acts are typically performed under coercive spiritual or ideological pressure, where members willingly inflict harm upon themselves as a sign of devotion, purification, or transformation. The creepy aspect is the willing participation in such extreme acts, driven by belief and manipulation, turning the human body into a canvas for painful, often grotesque, rituals. It highlights the dark side of group dynamics and ideological fervor, where individuals can be compelled to inflict shocking levels of physical damage upon themselves in the name of a collective, distorted purpose. Did you know that some people experience prosopagmatomorphopsia, a rare neurological disorder that causes faces to appear distorted or grotesque? Unlike general visual hallucinations, this condition specifically affects facial perception. Individuals might see familiar faces, even those of loved ones, appear to stretch, twist, or melt, with features shifting into monstrous or alien forms. The unsettling part is the profound impact on social interaction and the terrifying, constant visual disruption. Imagine looking at your child and seeing their eyes bulging, their nose elongated, or their mouth contorted into a grimace, while knowing intellectually it's still your child. It's a living nightmare where the most fundamental aspect of human connection, recognizing and interpreting faces, is corrupted, turning every familiar visage into a source of constant, involuntary horror. Did you know that the sound of your own blood rushing in your ears can become audible in complete silence? This phenomenon, often experienced in very quiet environments or during moments of intense concentration, is known as pulsatile tinnitus, but a mild version can be heard by anyone. The sound is essentially your blood flowing through the vessels close to your ears, and in the absence of external noise, your brain begins to pick up on these internal biological sounds. The creepy aspect is the sudden awareness of your own internal circulatory system, transforming the silence into a visceral, rhythmic whoosh or throb. It's a reminder of the constant, unseen work happening within your body, turning a moment of peace into a subtle, almost claustrophobic, awareness of your own living machinery, a constant internal hum that you usually never perceive. Did you know that some trees can grow roots that wrap around and slowly strangle other trees? This phenomenon is common with strangler figs, which are a group of tropical and subtropical trees and vines. They begin their life as epiphytes, germinating in the crevices of host trees. Their roots then grow downwards, enveloping the host tree's trunk and branches, forming a strong, interconnected network. As the fig grows, its roots thicken and fuse, eventually suffocating and outcompeting the host tree for light and nutrients. The creepy aspect is the slow, relentless, and often hidden demise of the host, encased within the embrace of the strangler fig, which then stands as a hollow shell of its victim. It's a silent, botanical murder, a natural process of one life consuming another, leaving behind a haunting, tree-shaped void. Did you know that during the Victorian era, it was common to pose deceased children in photographs with their living family members? This practice, known as post-mortem photography, was considered a way to preserve a final memory of a loved one, especially given high child mortality rates and the expense of photography. While some might find it morbid today, at the time it was a tender act of remembrance. However, the resulting images can be profoundly unsettling to modern eyes. The deceased child often appears unnaturally still, sometimes propped up to look as if sleeping or standing, contrasting with their living family members. It creates a chilling juxtaposition of life and death, offering a stark, unblinking glimpse into historical grieving practices and a time when death was an even more intimate and visible part of daily life, turning family portraits into macabre keepsakes. Did you know that there are abandoned towns in the world where time seems to have stood still, with perfectly preserved belongings and a chilling silence? While I've touched on ghost towns, the time capsule effect of some of these locations is particularly eerie. Think of places like Kalmanskap in Namibia, where diamonds ran out, and inhabitants left everything behind to be slowly engulfed by the desert sands, or the villages evacuated after the Chernobyl disaster, where toys, clothes, and furniture remain untouched for decades. The profound sense of a sudden, unexplained cessation of life, with personal effects left exactly as they were, creates an overwhelming atmosphere of absence. It's a tangible, haunting mystery, making you feel as if you've stumbled upon a chilling scene from which every living soul abruptly vanished, leaving only their spectral traces. Did you know that some people suffer from body integrity dysphoria, BID, a severe mental condition where they feel an intense desire to amputate a healthy limb? This deeply disturbing and poorly understood disorder is characterized by an overwhelming and persistent feeling that one or more of their healthy limbs do not belong to their body, leading to an intense desire for amputation. Individuals with BID often experience extreme distress and feel that the unwanted limb is alien or wrong. The truly creepy aspect is the profound disconnect from one's own physical self, where a perfectly functional body part is perceived as a foreign object that needs to be removed for psychological completeness. It's a terrifying internal battle, where the mind's perception of the body is so fundamentally distorted that it seeks radical and irreversible self-mutilation to achieve a sense of wholeness. Did you know that the sound of creaking stairs in an old, empty house can be caused by the pressure of ghosts walking up them? While often attributed to the expansion and contraction of wood, the specific sound of footsteps on an empty staircase is a classic element of paranormal lore. As floorboards and stairs settle, shift, or respond to changes in humidity, they can produce sounds that eerily mimic the cadence of walking. The creepy factor lies in the human tendency to interpret these ambiguous noises through the lens of the supernatural. The distinct creak of what sounds undeniably like footsteps ascending an empty staircase in the dead of night transforms mundane house sounds into a chilling narrative of an unseen presence, making a familiar structure feel suddenly inhabited by something spectral and unsettling. Did you know that some insects can survive being frozen solid and then thaw out and reanimate, continuing their lives as if nothing happened? While I mentioned this with specific caterpillars, the general phenomenon of cryobiosis in insects is truly eerie. Many species, like certain beetles, flies, and even some small ants, can enter a state of suspended animation when temperatures drop below freezing. They produce natural cryoprotectants that prevent ice crystals from damaging their cells. Their heart stops, their metabolism ceases, and they become a solid block of ice. Then, when conditions improve, they simply thaw out and resume their normal activities. The idea of a living creature literally dying and then coming back to life is profoundly unsettling, blurring the most fundamental line in biology and making these tiny creatures seem almost immortal or supernatural in their resilience. Did you know there are abandoned hospitals with patient records, medical equipment, and even preserved specimens left behind, creating a chilling glimpse into the past? Unlike typical abandoned buildings, these medical facilities carry a heavier weight of human suffering, illness, and death. Exploring a decaying operating room with rusted instruments, a forgotten ward with empty beds, or a dusty archive filled with patient files can evoke a profound sense of unease. The presence of antiquated medical equipment, stained furniture, or even jars with biological specimens creates a palpable atmosphere of forgotten pain and past trauma. It's a silent testament to lives lost and suffering endured, turning a former place of healing into a macabre historical exhibit, where the ghosts of past ailments and medical practices seem to linger in the stagnant air. Did you know that some people experience visual snow, a neurological condition where they see persistent static or snow across their entire field of vision, similar to an old TV screen? This isn't an occasional flicker. It's a constant, pervasive overlay of tiny, shimmering dots or snow that affects everything they see, in all lighting conditions, day and night. While it might sound like a minor annoyance, for many, it's profoundly distracting and can be accompanied by other visual disturbances like trailing images or glowing lights. The creepy aspect is the constant, internal interference with one's most vital sense, sight. It's like living in a perpetually distorted reality, where a film of visual noise is always present, transforming the clear world into a grainy, unsettling, and inescapable interference pattern generated from within the brain itself. Did you know that some old wells or abandoned mines are filled with unknown, murky water that can contain perfectly preserved, decades-old secrets? Beyond their structural decay, the water in these forgotten shafts can be incredibly cold, dark, and anoxic, lacking oxygen, creating conditions that remarkably slow down decomposition. This means that anything or anyone that falls into them and is submerged can be preserved in an eerily intact state for years, sometimes even decades. The thought of stepping near a dark, open well or mine shaft, knowing that its stagnant depths might hold perfectly preserved bodies, personal effects, or even evidence of long-forgotten events, creates a profound sense of hidden secrets and macabre discoveries. It turns a simple hole in the ground into a potential, chilling time capsule of an unknown past. Did you know that some people suffer from restless leg syndrome, RLS? An overwhelming urge to move their legs, often accompanied by uncomfortable or creepy sensations. This isn't just fidgeting. RLS causes uncomfortable, often irresistible sensations deep within the legs, described as crawling, tingling, aching, or bugs crawling under the skin. These sensations are typically worse at night or during periods of rest, leading to involuntary leg movements that disrupt sleep. The creepy aspect is the feeling of having something alien or uncontrollable happening within one's own body, the constant, internal irritation that compels movement, and the sheer inability to relax. It's a persistent, internal battle against an unseen force, turning your own limbs into a source of constant, unsettling discomfort and a loss of physical autonomy, especially when you are trying to find rest. Did you know there are certain abandoned hospitals where old, rusting medical equipment still sits, hinting at forgotten and sometimes grim procedures? Beyond just empty rooms, these facilities often contain a chilling array of artifacts: corroded operating tables, dusty wheelchairs, rusted iron lung machines, or long-disused dental chairs. These remnants serve as tangible reminders of past medical practices, some of which were primitive or even brutal by modern standards. The sight of these silent, decaying instruments of healing and, sometimes, of pain, evokes a profound sense of the lives that passed through these walls and the suffering endured. It transforms a derelict building into a macabre museum, where every piece of forgotten equipment tells a silent, unsettling story of sickness, despair, and the inexorable march of time, leaving a lingering aura of medical horror. Did you know that some species of marine worms are so massive and predatory that they can ambush and consume fish much larger than themselves? The bobbit worm, Aphrodite, is a prime example of this terrifying deep-sea predator. This segmented worm can grow to several meters in length, burrowing its long body into the ocean floor, with only its 5 antennae and powerful jaws protruding. It lies in wait, perfectly camouflaged, then strikes with incredible speed, snatching unsuspecting fish or other marine life as they swim by. Its jaws are strong enough to cut prey in half. The image of a massive, hidden worm erupting from the seafloor to drag its victim into its unseen lair is the stuff of nightmares, turning a seemingly benign seabed into a hunting ground for an unseen, monstrous, and immensely powerful ambush predator. Did you know that if you're exploring an old, abandoned house, the rotting wood can create a distinct, sickly sweet smell that some people associate with death? As organic materials like wood decay, they release volatile organic compounds that can produce a variety of strong odors. In old, damp, and neglected structures, this decomposition process is often widespread. While not the actual smell of a corpse, the distinctive scent of advanced wood rot is often described as earthy, musty, and sweetish sour, which can be unsettlingly similar to the early stages of human decomposition. This olfactory experience contributes significantly to the creepy atmosphere of abandoned places, triggering an instinctive sense of decay and mortality, even when no direct evidence of human death is present, turning the very air into a harbinger of decay. Did you know that some antique furniture can be haunted by the residual energy or spirits of its previous owners? While often dismissed as folklore, this belief is pervasive, particularly with items that have a rich history or belong to individuals who experience strong emotions. It's thought that objects can absorb and retain energy, creating imprints or attracting spirits. People report strange occurrences around such furniture, unexplained cold spots, subtle movements, or even a feeling of being watched or touched when near the item. The creepy aspect is the idea of an inanimate object carrying a lingering consciousness or an echo of the past, turning a beautiful antique into a potential vessel for unseen forces, a silent witness imbued with the emotional history of those who owned it. Did you know that some forms of dementia can cause individuals to lose their ability to recognize even their own reflection? This profound and deeply unsettling symptom can occur in advanced stages of certain neurodegenerative diseases. A person might look into a mirror and genuinely believe they are seeing a stranger, another person in the room, or even an intruder. The ability to recognize oneself is a fundamental aspect of self-identity, and its loss is truly tragic. Imagine living in a world where your own face, reflected back at you, holds no familiarity, transforming a simple daily act into a source of confusion, fear, or profound detachment. It's a terrifying glimpse into the mind's capacity to distort self-perception, turning the mirror into a portal to a world where personal identity has vanished. Did you know that some insects lay their eggs inside living plants, and the larvae cause the plant to grow strange, tumor-like swellings called galls? This isn't just a minor infestation. It's a profound manipulation of the plant's growth processes. Gall-inducing insects, such as certain wasps, flies, and mites, inject chemicals or lay eggs that trigger the plant to produce these abnormal growths. The gall then serves as a protective nursery and food source for the developing insect larvae. The creepy aspect is the plant's involuntary servitude. Its own tissues are forced to grow in grotesque, unnatural ways, creating a safe haven for its parasitic inhabitants. It transforms a healthy plant into a living, grotesque incubator, its very form distorted and enslaved for the benefit of another species, a silent, botanical horror unfolding in gardens and forests. Did you know that some people experience sleepwalking in such a profound state that they perform complex and often dangerous actions, like preparing food or even leaving the house, entirely unaware? While common sleepwalking usually involves simple movements, complex sleep behaviors are far more unsettling. Individuals might unconsciously get dressed, walk out of their homes, drive a car, or even engage in conversations that seem perfectly normal to an outsider, but about which they have no memory upon waking. The creepy aspect is the complete dissociation of the conscious mind from the body's actions, suggesting a subconscious self that can operate autonomously and engage in potentially life-threatening behaviors while the true self is deeply asleep. It's a frightening loss of control, where your own body becomes an unwitting agent, enacting a hidden, unconscious script. Did you know that some abandoned schools have been found with children's drawings and textbooks still scattered about, creating a chilling scene of innocence abruptly frozen in time? Unlike deserted homes or factories, abandoned schools carry a unique, unsettling atmosphere because they're so strongly linked with childhood, learning, and bright futures. Discovering classrooms frozen in time, with dusty desks, chalkboards still displaying lessons, and personal items like forgotten lunchboxes or half-finished art projects, creates a profound sense of disruption and absence. The silence in these spaces is particularly heavy, starkly contrasting with the laughter and activity they once held. It's a poignant and deeply creepy reminder of a past that suddenly ended, leaving behind the silent, untouched echoes of childhood, now steeped in an eerie stillness. Did you know that some ancient wells or abandoned mines are filled with unknown, murky water that can contain perfectly preserved, decades-old secrets? Beyond their structural decay, the water in these forgotten shafts can be incredibly cold, dark, and anoxic, lacking oxygen, creating conditions that remarkably slow down decomposition. This means that anything or anyone that falls into them and is submerged can be preserved in an eerily intact state for years, sometimes even decades. The thought of stepping near a dark, open well or mine shaft, knowing that its stagnant depths might hold perfectly preserved bodies, personal effects, or even evidence of long-forgotten events, creates a profound sense of hidden secrets and macabre discoveries. It turns a simple hole in the ground into a potential, chilling time capsule of an unknown past. Did you know that some people suffer from restless leg syndrome, RLS, an overwhelming urge to move their legs, often accompanied by uncomfortable or creepy sensations? This isn't just fidgeting. RLS causes uncomfortable, often irresistible sensations deep within the legs, described as crawling, tingling, aching, or bugs crawling under the skin. These sensations are typically worse at night or during periods of rest, leading to involuntary leg movements that disrupt sleep. The creepy aspect is the feeling of having something alien or uncontrollable happening within one's own body, the constant, internal irritation that compels movement, and the sheer inability to relax. It's a persistent, internal battle against an unseen force, turning your own limbs into a source of constant, unsettling discomfort and a loss of physical autonomy, especially when you are trying to find rest. Did you know there are certain abandoned hospitals where old, rusting medical equipment still sits, hinting at forgotten and sometimes grim procedures? Beyond just empty rooms, these facilities often contain a chilling array of artifacts: corroded operating tables, dusty wheelchairs, rusted iron lung machines, or long-disused dental chairs. These remnants serve as tangible reminders of past medical practices, some of which were primitive or even brutal by modern standards. The sight of these silent, decaying instruments of healing and, sometimes, of pain, evokes a profound sense of the lives that passed through these walls and the suffering endured. It transforms a derelict building into a macabre museum, where every piece of forgotten equipment tells a silent, unsettling story of sickness, despair, and the inexorable march of time, leaving a lingering aura of medical horror. Did you know that some species of marine worms are so massive and predatory that they can ambush and consume fish much larger than themselves? The bobbit worm, Unisaphroditis, is a prime example of this terrifying deep-sea predator. This segmented worm can grow to several meters in length, burrowing its long body into the ocean floor, with only its 5 antennae and powerful jaws protruding. It lies in wait, perfectly camouflaged, then strikes with incredible speed, snatching unsuspecting fish or other marine life as they swim by. Its jaws are strong enough to cut prey in half. The image of a massive, hidden worm erupting from the seafloor to drag its victim into its unseen lair is the stuff of nightmares, turning a seemingly benign seabed into a hunting ground for an unseen, monstrous, and immensely powerful ambush predator. Did you know that if you're exploring an old, abandoned house, the rotting wood can create a distinct, sickly sweet smell that some people associate with death? As organic materials like wood decay, they release volatile organic compounds that can produce a variety of strong odors. In old, damp, and neglected structures, this decomposition process is often widespread. While not the actual smell of a corpse, the distinctive scent of advanced wood rot is often described as earthy, musty, and sweetish sour, which can be unsettlingly similar to the early stages of human decomposition. This olfactory experience contributes significantly to the creepy atmosphere of abandoned places, triggering an instinctive sense of decay and mortality, even when no direct evidence of human death is present, turning the very air into a harbinger of decay. Did you know that some antique furniture can be haunted by the residual energy or spirits of its previous owners? While often dismissed as folklore, this belief is pervasive, particularly with items that have a rich history or belong to individuals who experience strong emotions. It's thought that objects can absorb and retain energy, creating imprints or attracting spirits. People report strange occurrences around such furniture, unexplained cold spots, subtle movements, or even a feeling of being watched or touched when near the item. The creepy aspect is the idea of an inanimate object carrying a lingering consciousness or an echo of the past, turning a beautiful antique into a potential vessel for unseen forces, a silent witness imbued with the emotional history of those who owned it. Did you know that some forms of dementia can cause individuals to lose their ability to recognize even their own reflection? This profound and deeply unsettling symptom can occur in advanced stages of certain neurodegenerative diseases. A person might look into a mirror and genuinely believe they are seeing a stranger, another person in the room, or even an intruder. The ability to recognize oneself is a fundamental aspect of self-identity, and its loss is truly tragic. Imagine living in a world where your own face, reflected back at you, holds no familiarity, transforming a simple daily act into a source of confusion, fear, or profound detachment. It's a terrifying glimpse into the mind's capacity to distort self-perception, turning the mirror into a portal to a world where personal identity has vanished. Did you know that there are abandoned schools where children's drawings and textbooks are still scattered, creating a chilling tableau of suddenly ceased innocence? Unlike homes or factories, abandoned schools evoke a specific kind of unsettling atmosphere due to their association with childhood, learning, and bright futures. Finding classrooms frozen in time, with dusty desks, chalkboards still bearing lessons, and personal items like forgotten lunchboxes or half-finished art projects, creates a powerful sense of disruption and absence. The silence in these spaces is particularly heavy, contrasting sharply with the memories of laughter and activity they once held. It's a poignant and profoundly creepy reminder of a past that abruptly ended, leaving behind the silent, untouched echoes of childhood, now imbued with a somber and eerie stillness. Did you know that some birds are capable of mimicking human speech with uncanny accuracy, sometimes even repeating phrases they've only heard once? While parrots are well known for their mimicry, some species, like mynah birds or even certain starlings, can produce human words and phrases with startling clarity, often without understanding their meaning. The creepy aspect is when these imitations occur unexpectedly, especially from a bird you didn't realize had such a talent, or when they repeat something particularly eerie or intimate that they've overheard. It transforms a seemingly simple animal into an unexpected recorder of human sounds, a living echo chamber that can replay chilling phrases or private conversations, making you wonder what else they've silently absorbed and are capable of repeating. Did you know that some people experience visual snow, a neurological condition where they see persistent static or snow across their entire field of vision, similar to an old TV screen? This isn't an occasional flicker, it's a constant, pervasive overlay of tiny, shimmering dots or snow that affects everything they see, in all lighting conditions, day and night. While it might sound like a minor annoyance, for many, it's profoundly distracting and can be accompanied by other visual disturbances like trailing images or glowing lights. The creepy aspect is the constant, internal interference with one's most vital sense, sight. It's like living in a perpetually distorted reality, where a film of visual noise is always present, transforming the clear world into a grainy, unsettling, and inescapable interference pattern generated from within the brain itself. Did you know that some old dolls are believed to be possessed by the spirits of deceased children, leading to unsettling paranormal activity? While largely folklore, this belief is widespread and taps into a deep human unease with inanimate objects appearing lifelike. Reports often include dolls whose eyes seem to follow you, subtle changes in their positions when no one is around, unexplained whispers, or even cold spots in their vicinity. These stories are often attached to antique dolls with glass eyes and unsettlingly realistic features, particularly those with a tragic history or said to be linked to a child who died prematurely. The idea of a child's innocent toy becoming a vessel for a restless, perhaps lonely, spirit transforms a cherished plaything into a potentially malevolent or sorrowful presence, making every glance at such a doll a chilling encounter with the supernatural. Did you know that some people suffer from locked-in syndrome, a terrifying neurological condition where they are fully conscious and aware but completely paralyzed, unable to move or communicate except through eye movements? Imagine being trapped within your own body, your mind fully active, able to see and hear everything around you, yet utterly incapable of speaking, moving a limb, or even showing facial expressions. Communication is often limited to blinking or subtle eye movements, making it incredibly difficult to express distress or needs. The profound isolation and helplessness are almost unimaginable, a living nightmare where you are a prisoner in your own skin. It's a terrifying reminder of how precious the ability to communicate and interact with the world truly is, and how easily it can be lost, leaving one's conscious self utterly entombed. Did you know that some caves contain ancient, perfectly preserved human remains or artifacts, acting as natural time capsules? Unlike typical archaeological sites, the stable, cool, dry, or sometimes extremely wet and anoxic environments within certain caves can prevent decomposition and degradation over millennia. This means explorers can stumble upon almost intact prehistoric human skeletons, ancient tools, clothing, or even preserved food items, looking as if they were left there just yesterday. The profound sense of stepping directly into the distant past, seeing the untouched remnants of lives long gone, can be incredibly eerie. It's a chilling, direct connection to ancient humanity, turning a natural geological formation into a silent, timeless museum filled with the perfectly preserved echoes of forgotten existences. Did you know that some deep-sea creatures are so fragile and adapted to pressure that they disintegrate or melt when brought to the surface? These are the inhabitants of the extreme abyssal and hadal zones, living under pressure so immense that they are incomprehensible to us. Their bodies are made of loosely structured, gelatinous tissues that are perfectly suited to their high-pressure environment. When they are brought rapidly to the surface, the sudden and drastic decrease in pressure causes their cells to rupture, and their delicate bodies simply fall apart, often dissolving into a formless blob. The chilling aspect is the inability to truly observe these creatures in their natural state. They are so perfectly adapted to their alien world that they cannot survive ours, turning a potential discovery into a fleeting, self-destructive encounter with the utterly alien. Did you know that some people experience pareidolia so strongly that they regularly see faces or figures in inanimate objects, often perceiving them as threatening? While pareidolia, seeing patterns in random stimuli, like faces and clouds, is a common psychological phenomenon, for some, it can be unsettling. Their brains are so adept at finding patterns that they perceive clear, distinct faces or humanoid figures in everyday objects, electrical outlets, tree knots, shadows, or crumpled clothes. And these perceived faces can sometimes appear menacing, sinister, or accusatory. The creepy aspect is the brain's own imaginative power turning the mundane world into a gallery of unintended, unsettling visages, making one feel constantly observed or confronted by these illusory, often malevolent, forms that only they can see. Did you know that some plants have evolved mechanisms to slowly but relentlessly digest insects, acting as silent, stationary predators? These are carnivorous plants, like Venus flytraps, pitcher plants, and sundews. While fascinating, their method of acquiring nutrients is fundamentally creepy from an insect's perspective. They lure unsuspecting prey with sweet nectar or vibrant colors, then ensnare them with sticky leaves, snap traps, or slippery pitchers. Once captured, The plant slowly secretes digestive enzymes, dissolving the insect's body over days or even weeks. The image of a seemingly innocent plant patiently luring and then dissolving its living prey, reducing it to a nutrient-rich pulp, is a chilling reminder of nature's diverse and often ruthless predatory strategies, turning foliage into a quiet, verdant digestive system for tiny creatures. Did you know that the sound of your own breathing can become unnervingly loud and prominent in moments of extreme fear or panic? While an essential life function, our breathing is usually an unconscious, background process. However, when adrenaline surges during a frightful situation, our breathing becomes rapid, shallow, and audible, especially to ourselves. In a silent, terrifying environment, the sound of your own ragged breaths filling your ears can amplify the sense of fear and claustrophobia. It's a primal, visceral reminder of your vulnerability and impending exhaustion, turning a natural bodily function into a chilling soundtrack to your own escalating panic, a constant, gasping echo of your fear in the quiet dread of the moment. Did you know that some people suffer from apotemnophilia, a condition where they have an intense, unwavering desire to have a healthy limb amputated? This profoundly disturbing and rare neurological disorder is a form of body integrity dysphoria. Individuals with apotemnophilia feel that a specific, healthy limb, arm or leg, is alien to their body and does not belong to them. They experience extreme discomfort and distress unless they envision or actually undergo its removal. The creepy aspect is the complete disconnect between the mind's perception and the body's reality, leading to an overwhelming drive for self-mutilation. It reveals a terrifying internal conflict, where the brain actively rejects a perfectly functional part of its own physical self, embodying a profound and inexplicable desire for disfigurement to achieve a twisted sense of completeness. Did you know that there are abandoned mental institutions where the furniture and equipment are still in place, preserving a chilling tableau of past suffering? Beyond just the walls, the sight of decaying wheelchairs, rusty hydrotherapy tubs, or rows of empty, strapped beds in silent, dusty rooms evokes a profound sense of the lives lived and lost within those confines. These places often witnessed isolation, experimental treatments, and immense psychological anguish, and their lingering contents seem to absorb and reflect that history. It's a deeply unsettling experience to walk through these silent spaces, where the material remnants of forgotten patients and their often brutal care still stand as a testament to human suffering, making the very objects emanate a palpable, haunting aura of their past purpose. Did you know that the average human body contains enough iron to make a 3-inch nail? While fascinating from a chemical perspective, the thought of the raw, metallic components that make up our organic bodies is subtly creepy. Iron is a crucial element for life, vital for oxygen transport in our blood, hemoglobin, and enzyme function. The fact that this same element, when extracted and concentrated, could form a solid, sharp, and potentially dangerous object like a nail, creates a strange juxtaposition. It's a reminder of the fundamental elemental composition of our being, suggesting a raw, almost industrial potential hidden within our organic forms, transforming the very building blocks of life into something unexpectedly stark and material.